Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
What gives you the right? What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not podcasting.
I mean, that is my favorite line in the whole fucking movie.
Hi, everybody. My name's Griffin Newman.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
I'm not podcast pants.
I'm not wearing podcast pads.
My name's Griffin Newman.
David Sims here.
It's a podcast called Blank Check with Griffin and David. We're hashtag the two friends.
Yes.
Podcast.
We're not wearing hockey pads.
Neither of us are wearing hockey pants. I can confirm that.
Pads. It's pads, he
Pants.
says. No, he says pads.
Pants.
That doesn't make any sense. There's no such thing as hockey pants.
Oh, you're right. It's pads.
Why would they be pants? They just wear regular pants.
No, they don't.
Well,
If you saw a person walking down the street wearing hockey pants, you wouldn't go, oh, normal pants.
I don't know. People wear a lot of crazy things.
But what is
I
this,
got 5
Casual
minutes on this.
Friday? Wearing hockey pants?
What if they were at a hockey arena?
I always thought it was hockey pants.
I know. I think a lot of people do, but you know why?
Right.
Delivered a little low.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
No, what did you think I was going to say?
You were call me stupid.
No, what? Of course not.
I don't know. I'm insecure, David.
No, the way he says it.
I'm not wearing hockey pants.
I'm not wearing hockey
I'm
pants.
not wearing hockey pants.
People are loving this so far.
Great. People love this podcast. It's called Blank Check with Griffin and David.
Yep.
It is about filmographies, directors who have had massive success early on in their career and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy films they want, and sometimes those checks clear.
Sure.
Sometimes they bounce, baby.
Yes.
It's a mini series about the films of Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
It's called The Pod Nightcast.
Yes.
And today we're talking about his most famous film,
Yeah.
his most successful film,
For sure.
and one could argue the biggest movie of the 21st century.
That's what we were discussing. I think, in terms of impact.
4 movies this century have outgrossed it, but I think in terms of the intersection between critical respectability, cultural cachet, mainstream popularity, staying power, and financial gross, it's the one. I think it's the one. I think it's the defining movie of our times, for better or for worse.
Yes.
The movie is called...
Both, I would say, by the way, for better and for worse.
I agree.
Really?
It's a complicated movie, and its legacy is really messy now.
Kind of like, we did The Matrix.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies we covered that are like this.
Yeah. Sometimes,
Avatar?
yeah. Sometimes good movies
Clear?
get bad by bad people.
Sure, yeah.
Sometimes bad people make good movies bad.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to say. Anyway, hi. Movie's called The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight.
I always thought it was The Duck Knight.
Yeah, but there's no ducks.
I thought it was Hockey Pants and Duck Knight. This is, of course, the second Bartman movie.
Yes, Bartman's back.
Bartman's back.
But this time, who's he gonna face?
Richard T. Joker.
Great voice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
Why not laughing more?
Oh, God.
I'm Richard T. Joker.
We're here to record what we know is going to be a long episode, and we're starting just with
Hot
just
Guns
nothing. We're starting with the air in the potato chip bag, We're leading with the air.
It's the opposite of the Hanukkah story. We're like, we don't have enough oil to last for 8 nights, and then in fact, correct, we don't even have oil for 1 night. We try to light the first candle, and we don't have anything.
We're like, we've got this huge bucket of oil. We try to light the candles. Nothing's going on. It's a dry wick.
Not to be confused with John Wick. Dry Wick is his half-brother. This film comes out in 2008 and sort of breaks the culture.
Yeah. No, you're right.
It becomes a black hole. Everything gets sucked into the Dark Knight.
It's true.
And 9 years later, we're still feeling that kind of, that pull, I would say.
It had been a while, though, and it was actually nice to come back to it. Because it's been a few years since I watched this movie.
Yeah, same here.
So much has changed.
A lot has changed.
It's like you got Dark Knight, then the after effects of Dark Knight for a few years.
Yeah.
Then that kind of begins to dissipate, and we have the new normal, right? The more studio control-y, franchisey normal.
Right.
That obviously has some Dark Knight DNA in it, but, a lot of other stuff. So now you watch The Dark Knight and you're like, wow, it's like I'm watching a movie from like 1,000 years
It
ago.
really does feel like we've gone through like 4 different shifts in mainstream film
Yeah.
culture since then.
Yeah.
And also Warner Brothers Studios, at the week that we're recording this episode, this will come out later. The week that we're recording it, the story came out that Warner Brothers said they no longer want to work with auteur directors who will demand final cut.
That's right.
And they
Those
said,
jerks.
right, they said the only 2 exceptions are Nolan and Eastwood. Those are the only 2 guys in the back lot who they will let do what they want.
That only saw the headline. I didn't realize that that's, how are you supposed to put up with that even if you're a Christopher Nolan? Obviously it's nice that they give you money to make your movie, but
he's the one guy they're giving the check to and giving full reign to, and Eastwood because he's 900 years old. He's an oak tree that's grown in their studio.
Also, Clint Eastwood delivers you a movie on time, under budget.
Yeah.
Like with a star in it that more often than not makes a shit ton of money. I mean,
That's
Clint
the thing.
Eastwood's like weirdly one of the most bankable names in Hollywood.
And if an Eastwood movie bombs, it'll make back its like money on like airplane rentals.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's like his budgets are low enough, and they're the kind of movies that people want to like get from Redbox or watch on a plane or like in a hotel room.
Like I'm looking at his direct. I mean, he's like Jersey Boys was a flop, I guess.
Yeah.
But it made $47 million on a $40 million budget.
I actually completely forgot until just now that he directed a Jersey Boys
No
movie.
kidding. You forgot the movie existed. You forgot he directed it.
And that
you
came
forgot
out-
that Frankie Valli ever lived. That's how bad it was. It erased Frankie Valli from the timeline.
And Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
And that came out the same year that he released American Sniper,
That's correct.
the 4th biggest movie in the history of Warner Brothers as a studio.
Yeah. There you go.
That's the thing. If you look at Warner Brothers like top films now, it's like 5 Nolans and Eastwood and a couple Harry Potters. Oh, and now I think fucking BVS and Suicide Squad.
Exactly.
Are in
They
there.
got the DC universe. But even like J. Edgar beat its budget.
Yeah.
Like these movies nobody saw.
Yeah.
Like Changeling. Oh no, that didn't actually beat its budget. All right, fine. Anyway,
Changeling is bad.
Changeling is very bad. Changeling's it's almost like an 85-year-old guy made a movie about like a woman's experience, in the turn of the century.
Yeah.
And how tough that was for her. It's almost like what happens when that happens.
I remember reading an interview with Eastwood when Changeling came out where he was talking about why he cast Angelina Jolie. And he said, when you look at people from that time period, they all had faces back then. Angelina Jolie looks like someone from the 30s because she's got a real face. It's like no one in the 30s looked like Angelina Jolie. I understand the
He
vague
just
point
means
he's
she's
trying
a
to make.
movie star. That's
Right.
all he really means.
Right.
It's like she kind of looks like Ava Gardner or whatever. I mean, what? I don't know what the fuck he's
But Angelina
trying to
Jolie's so extreme. She's like a crossbreed dog. Do you know what I'm saying? She's like a pug where it's like this isn't like
You mean
physically
she's like
sustainable.
a puggle, right?
She's like a puggle.
But like, yeah, right. Where it's like you breed enough of French bulldogs, and
Right.
you're like, this is like a wonderfully cute creature, but eventually, like, it's not gonna be able to breathe or whatever.
Right.
Like, 'cause we've fucked it up so
enough
much.
generations of bizarrely pretty people had to keep fucking for generation after generation to get to the point where we had Angelina Jolie.
Well, I think it's more like if it kept going, we'd have a problem. Like Angelina Jolie's a very nice and interesting.
Well, let's look at
person.
Jolie's kids with Brad Pitt. That might be.
They're gorgeous. They're
Maybe
like
they can't breathe.
Gorgeous
though.
little children.
Maybe they can't breathe.
All right, that's
Maybe
enough.
their snouts
That's
are too
enough.
flat.
The Dark Knight. That's enough of that. My God, cut it all out, Ben.
Sully though.
This is the best movie ever made. I rewatched it. So good.
Yeah.
I rewatched it. Have you rewatched
Was
it?
a forced water landing. I've seen
Wish
Sully.
we'd done it in June. Is it July or June? He says. I think he says June.
July. And that's the last line of the
That's the
film.
last line of the movie.
Talk about a blackout.
Oh my God.
Talk about a blackout.
Talk about Aaron Eckhart
Yeah.
in this film.
Yes. Good segue.
The Dark Knight.
Yes. He plays Michael J. Two-Face.
Harvey Dent.
Not to be confused with Michael K. Bain.
Sure. He's right. Is that the name you...
I'm staying
I
consistent.
fucking hate this. Just shut up. Just be quiet. See, now he's revved up, Ben. Remember he was like, I'm tired.
Yep.
I'm all tired.
I haven't even taken a sip of my coffee yet. Ready for
He's
how
all-
amped I'm going to get?
Oh,
I'm
God.
going to get twisted.
He has to do it.
Good cup of coffee.
How you doing there?
Oh, wait a second.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Wait a second.
He's so hyped up.
Ow.
Griffin.
Glow.
I just shit my pants.
Damn it.
Who's gonna clean that up?
I'm the one to clean it up.
Studio
The gorgeous ladies of wrestling are going to clean it up.
Ay.
Available to watch now on Netflix.
Now no one even remembers that exists. Glow's coming out this week.
Right, 17 Netflix originals have come out since Glow.
They released one a week now.
Yeah,
sometimes it's 2 a week. Yeah. Anyway.
You just want a company like Amazon that's going to really take its time to craft a good original series for you.
All right. The Dark Knight.
The Duck Knight.
All right. Chris Nolan. Chrissy N.
Right.
He made Batman Begins. It was a big hit.
Bartman Begins, but yes.
Bartman Begins.
Mm-hmm. People liked it. They said, we want more of this. The tease at the end of The Joker had people fucking clamoring.
And David S. Goyer, as the movie was being made, wrote treatments for 2 sequels.
Okay.
One with the Joker, and then the other one with Harvey Dent.
Okay.
So they had those kind of ready as if we want more.
Okay, 2 pitches. 2 Goyer pitches.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Right down the plate. What are the 2 pitches?
Like I told you, the first one's the Joker movie.
Right.
Which and then the second one's the Harvey Dent movie. He was going off of The Long Halloween, which they had used a little bit of for the Batman Begins, with what's it called? Falcone, right.
And Harvey Dent's arc in this is very similar to The Long Halloween.
Yeah.
Joker is not really a part of Long Halloween. But the Harvey Dent...
No, he's not at all.
Long Halloween is the real Harvey Dent backstory.
Long Halloween is a sort of stretched
of an honest man. Yeah.
Much more deep take on the original Harvey Dent myth, right? Which is he was this attorney, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
All this stuff happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the classic acid, though.
Yes.
That's his typical comic book origin is the acid only hit half of him.
Yes. While he was... prosecuting.
Yeah, and somehow it burned the rest of his body too. No? Okay, don't worry about it. So Nolan was uncertain if he wanted to even make a sequel.
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty crazy to think about now. Yeah.
It is, but I do actually think that the story of these movies is each time Nolan kind of has to be talked into it. And the first time he's basically happy to make a sequel, and the second time he really doesn't want to.
Mm-hmm. And I think it shows, but I think in this film he
was into the Joker. He wanted to do the Joker.
And he cracked, what if I make it a different type of movie? What if I don't just try to make Batman Begins 2?
Right.
What if I try to do my version of Michael Mann's Heat in the world of Batman?
It's very true.
So the film goes through a stylistic shift. It goes through a sort of theological shift.
It does.
To a degree, yeah.
But also, as we mentioned, I think on our Batman Begins episode,
Bartman Begins.
He's this will be a Joker movie.
Yeah.
And Batman will be important, but is going to be more reflected through the Joker.
This is a movie I've always wanted to take a stopwatch to.
In terms of screen time?
Because
there's a lot of Batman in it.
I kind of feel like Dent, Joker...
There's a lot of Dent.
Batman and Gordon...
all are equalish.
Kind of.
I mean, but
I feel like all of them would get pretty close in terms of screen time breakdown.
I don't think so because
not equal, but pretty close.
I don't think the Joker's in it that much. He's sort of an underrated. He's not in the first chunk of the movie at all. Then he shows up, but they use him very sparingly, in a way where it doesn't really feel like they're using him sparingly.
But it's a movie in which these characters are often isolated. There are obviously the points where they cross, but Harvey Dent also is I feel like each character has kind of got 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about Dent is he gets the last half, the last third of the movie. Mm-hmm. And the Joker, he's just peppered in, But so Nolan and his brother Jonathan, the Nolans, they decide to steep themselves in Joker.
Right.
And they decide to go off of the first appearance of the Joker. Mm-hmm.
And this is the first
time. Yes.
The first time Jonathan Nolan is officially credited co-screenwriter.
Right, because with Memento, he actually did get an Oscar nomination, but it was technically based on his short story.
Right.
Yes.
And there was always the sense, his brother was helping him out with stuff.
Is that right? I'm trying to remember.
I believe so. I believe Nolan has sole screenwriting credit, but it's based on because Talvin McCrane.
You're wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
They both wrote it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm wrong. I'll admit I'm a big man.
Yeah, big man, huh?
Not physically, but yeah.
And also, they liked the Fritz Lang movie, The Testament of Dr. Mabuse.
Yeah, cool movie.
I actually have no idea how you say that.
I think Mabuse.
And he was very interested, unlike the Tim Burton film, in avoiding an origin story.
Yes.
Just having the Joker be an elemental figure.
Which was, I think, the masterstroke of this movie.
Oh, for sure.
That allows it to be this more that allows this movie to function as such a philosophical exercise.
And then, as you say, he obviously also has this big idea of like Michael Mann's Heat is the story of L.A. told through these criminals and cops fighting each other. Why can't I do the same thing with Gotham? Make it a movie about a city. Make like the city and not a character in like the cheesy way. Right. I don't know, like literally buildings feel like characters for him.
I always thought it would be cool if this movie was called Gotham City.
Well, I thought your argument was that the third one should be called Gotham City.
100%.
Because like I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like don't call it The Dark Knight Rises. Call it Gotham City.
I hate that. We'll talk about that next episode.
It's called that because that has to have been like the studio was like, come on.
But it's like calling it The Empire Strikes Back again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like calling it Spider-Man 2 too. It's like you take the best
Spider-Man 2, TOO.
My friend Doug Rosenberg used to have this bit that there were so many Critters movies, sequels had sequels. So he was like, it's like Critters 4 too, which is, I just think about that all the time.
It's a good joke.
There are few jokes that please me more than that one. It's up there with Consider the Coconut for me, of just things that will make me laugh anytime I think about it.
Leaves. All right.
Have you considered The Leaves, Ben?
Do you want to introduce
Producer Ben? The Ben-Deucer? The Pro-Doer? Mr. Positive? Mr. Positive? The Haas? The Paz? The Meat Lover? The Fart Detective? The Tiebreaker? Birthday Benny?
The Leaves.
The Fuckmaster? Not Professor Crispy? Dirtbike Benny? The Poet Laureate? The Peeper? Our finest film critic? Graduated certain tells over the course of different miniseries, such as Kylo Ben, Producer Ben Kenobi, Ben Night Shyamalan.
I don't know if do I...
Ben say Bennything. Ailey Benz with the $sign and Warhaz.
Are we done?
No, I haven't.
I totally zone out. I need every time he does that, folks.
Can I blow your mind?
Yeah.
You just did.
Oh.
When I was listing those names and you were trying to figure out whether or not you had ever considered the coconut and its leaves.
Oh my God.
You just considered both.
This is ridiculous. Okay, the other big decision Nolan makes. What is it, Griffin?
IMAX.
Well, that's actually true.
Huge.
And you do see it when you're watching
literally
it on
big
Blu-ray.
decision.
Very true. But no, it's, let me get this Harvey Dent thing. Let me just fucking squeeze it on in the back there. Let's put them together.
Oh, yeah.
Let's make one movie about both villains.
That's an epic. And Harvey Dent is kind of, if you look at this movie.
Harvey Dent is the backbone of the movie, according to him.
I'd argue he's the protagonist.
In a sort of
in terms of the fact that the arc of the film follows his rise and fall.
Yes, but also the film is about how things kind of get worse before they get better. It's like Batman
Night is darkest before the dawn.
Right. Batman
Sometimes
has
you
not
spell night with a
saved
K.
Gotham. All Batman has done is kind of, started the war, drawn the rules of battle, and now it's like a much worse fight in a way. Like Gotham was shitty before. Now it's kind of insane, but maybe with some chance of getting it out of this situation.
And Harvey Dent represents what Batman wishes he could be, which is someone who is able to function, to fight in the light, not in the shadows, with his own name, with his own face, above the law.
Yeah. And so Harvey Dent's kind of Gotham's possibility.
White Knight.
The possibility. Yes, he's
our White Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Batman's the Dark Knight.
So he does that. Do you think that's a good decision?
Great decision.
A long movie.
Great decision.
And it definitely is 3 movies.
Yes, and people have complained. I remember when the movie came out, and people liked the movie. Movie was pretty popular.
Quite well reviewed, and made some money.
But I remember, the thinking was, because even at that point in time, the idea was every superhero movie you got to end setting up what the next one would be. And so people kind of assumed, he's going to turn into Two-Face at the end.
That's true. Going into the movie, I was like, Eckhart's in this, but he's being set up.
He's Harvey Dent, and he's setting up. And then
the Joker will fuck him up or something.
Right, and the fact that Harvey Dent's a closed loop in this film.
Yep.
I remember people being upset about that and saying, they should have saved that for the third one. I think the reason this movie is so effective is because it's spinning several plaats at the same time.
Yeah, but not only that has become such an irritating trope. I'm not to get mad and yell.
Sure.
In every movie where it's I'll be leaving some superhero movie with a friend of mine or my girlfriend or whatever who don't know the fucking comics or whatever, and they'll be like, but what was the deal with that character? And I'm like, well, he's gonna in the next movie.
I hate it.
They're gonna do it with him, it's the worst. It's the worst. The worst.
And this
stretching
movie,
it out.
Rewatching it last night, it is kind of incredible how self-contained it is. Because Batman is one of the few pieces of pop culture that is so well known, so established that people even know kind of like 4 rungs down into the basics of Batman.
Yes.
Of how he functions and Alfred and everything.
Right.
And this movie references so little of what happens directly in Batman Begins, and especially even just recasting Rachel Dawes. It's like you can enter into this movie. All the background, the context you need is just from knowing who Batman is. I know who Batman is. I know who Bruce Wayne is. I know who Alfred is.
Yeah.
I know how he functions. And then all the primary characters in this film are pretty much established within the film.
You know, the problem, obviously, that your Green Lanterns or whatever have is like they can't do that.
They can't do that.
They have to
people
be
don't
like
know.
people don't know. They have to set them up.
Right.
Batman, they don't have to do it. People know who the Joker is. People know who Batman is. People know Gotham is.
They know who Alfred is. They know who Two-Face is.
I'd like a little splash of chemical waste, you know?
Oh, so you want a Joker origin?
Just a little splash.
A little splash.
This is, you know, I think because he was so unconcerned with making a kind of obvious didactic sequel to the story he set up, he just made a story that was interesting to him with the Batman universe.
Right.
As a vehicle to say what he wanted to say, which is interestingly kind of the same thing that Burton did with Batman Returns. I mean, Batman Returns is a movie where he just went, I'm going to make a Burton movie using Batman characters.
Yep.
And it is kind of its own thing from the first one, except people went, no.
Yeah, that one freaked people out. And The Dark Knight, everyone was like, me likey.
And all these people who hadn't seen Batman Begins were there opening night, like jazz, because it was just, the idea that he was doing the Joker.
That was what Pete Travers says, by the way.
What?
Me likey.
Yeah.
That was his
quote on the DVD box. Joker's just like, you know, the 2 most iconic villains in the history of superhero comics are the Joker and Dr. Doom. And one of them has been done correctly a bunch of times. The other one has been done incorrectly every time.
The Joker's way more iconic than Dr.
I agree. But Dr. Doom's the best Marvel villain. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I would. I like Magneto, but that's more of a personal preference. I think Dr. Doom's probably your number 1 Marvel villain.
Yeah. Joker's the big guy. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone likes him. And he's a guy who's, you know, open to a lot of different interpretations.
Yes.
He's multifaceted, so you can always come at it from a new angle and go, this time we're going to do a little less of this, a little more of that.
Right. Like, you want to talk about David Ayer's angle on him in the film Suicide Squad?
Yeah, the angle was, what if Joker dumb?
A little bit less of this. This one's good.
Yeah.
Him being good.
Yeah.
More of this. Dumb.
Yeah.
No. Come on, let's be honest. He was like, what if he was twisted? We've seen the Joker before, but he's never been twisted. He's never arranged knives in a perfect semicircle and then like laughed near them.
Most people who shred on an electric guitar aren't literally shredding. But this Joker is.
Twisted. What if Joker ran a strip club? Which is what happens in that movie.
Joker meets Scarface.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, I mean, Heath Ledger talked a lot about Malcolm McDowell's performance in A Clockwork Orange.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
An anarchic Joker.
Right.
Mysterious.
Yeah, he weirdly, like...
Kind of funny.
Yes.
Like, you know, in kind of a, like, creepy way, but,
Yeah.
like, not... It all sounds lame when I say
Somehow,
it.
even though it was 9
It
years
works, though.
in advance, you know, and the movie hadn't been made yet, I remember at the time when Heath Ledger was doing interviews, they asked him what he based his character on. He said, mostly, I was trying to think of what the most twisted, evil, horrifying character in the history of cinema was, so I picked Henry from the Book of Henry.
Yeah, right. He went for that. It's crazy.
Little old Hank.
Not Henry from Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is, of course, what Henry
The
grows up to
second
be.
scariest.
He's alive!
You gotta open the book, folks. Gotta open the book. But yeah, I mean, as we said in our Batman Begins episode, like from the second Batman Begins came out, people were flipping out over who was going to play the Joker.
I know, people were freaking out, and I think we talked about it in our Matrix, one of our Matrix sequels episodes, because there was the Lacey Holm rumor.
Oh, right, yeah.
But there was everyone was going to be the Joker.
Everyone was going to be the Joker.
Anyone who was like vaguely weird.
Right. And I just remember every single piece of this movie being chewed over and inspected in a way that now has kind of become par for the course. And certainly online film, you know, nerdery existed before then. But I feel like the hype for this movie kind of raised everything to a new level that it has stayed at now. Now we're just dissecting everything. Running times are big news stories, you know? And I remember that being one of the movies where it was like, oh, it's 2.5 hours. Like that was like a headline. Like people were just so excited about every tidbit about this movie because it felt like this is kind of the apex moment of what the superhero film trend has been building up to.
Sure.
And people, I remember at the onset of that summer, 2008, said like, this is the year the superhero movie dies. I think we've hit the apex and it's going to end.
How funny.
Right. And it was Iron Man came out in May and The Dark Knight came out in July, and they just both kickstarted the next 10 years.
Okay.
You know, everyone thought it had like crested, we were coming to an end, and instead it like revived it and set the template of what everyone else was going to follow.
It also sparked a zillion bad trends, such as people thinking that this was like, you know, comic books done right.
Correct.
And these people who were like, I, a grown person, understand Batman because I read the comics and always have. I know what's correct and what isn't.
Which we talked about a lot in our Batman Begins episode. But it's more the idea that this movie is respecting the characters rather than taking them seriously.
Right.
But I think everyone misinterpreted it and went, oh, let's take everything way too seriously. Let's drown it in gravitas.
Yes.
Which, especially if you are not a filmmaker of gravitas, that comes off really cloying if it's fake, sort of pretentious babble.
Trying to think of like, maybe I should like summon up a list of like comic book movies, you know, all comic book movies that like sort of came after.
Well, I even feel like, you know what kind of kept on tiptoeing through my mind while rewatching this last night? I know it's a movie you like more than I do.
Which one?
I feel like even the far tentacle reaches of like Prometheus are kind of inspired by something like this, where it's like, oh, what if we can revive a franchise and put a lot of like philosophical debate into the body of the movie?
A franchise, but why so serious? No, but you know, here's the no.
But that thing, the kind of trying to make the heady blockbuster.
I'm very glad I looked at this list.
Okay,
because after The Dark Knight, I'm not counting the other movies of 2008, which include like Hellboy 2, The Spirit. So there was similar kinds of movies coming out where it was like artist-led comic book movies.
Sure, but yeah, those are coming from different angles.
Yes,
I mean, Spirit's going off of Sin City.
I know.
Right, yeah.
2009, you have Watchmen and you have X-Men Origins Wolverine. Those are the two superhero movies of that year.
The only two?
Imagine just two, and one of them's Watchmen.
That's crazy.
But Watchmen is definitely heavily inspired by The Dark Knight.
And the Watchmen trailer...
And like the budget is inspired by The Dark Knight.
But the Watchmen trailer plays before The Dark Knight.
Does it? Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah.
And I remember that being the thing. Everyone was like, fucking Watchmen.
Right.
Like people were like, Watchmen's like the sequel.
I guess Watchmen is inspired by Batman Begins as well, obviously. You know, and 300.
And 300. That was the big thing. I worked at Forbidden Planet in New York City right after the fall of 2008.
Yeah.
So in the wake of The Dark Knight and the build up to Watchmen coming out that March, and it was like, I swear to God, 1 out of every 5 books sold was either The Killing Joke, which they always cited as the main influence on Heath Ledger's interpretation of the Joker.
Yes. The Alan Moore Joker one-off. Yeah.
Or Watchmen. It was like every week we'd get a new shipment in of Killing Joke and a new shipment of Watchmen. By the end of that week, we'd be done.
And The Killing Joke is like a pretty bad comic, one of Moore's worst in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Well drawn and like has a good idea to it.
Yeah.
But is also kind of famous as the one where the Joker paralyzes Batgirl. And like, it just feels like too much for not enough. Like it just felt like, it kind of feels like the epitome of one of those sort of two, you know, dark and gritty, quote unquote, comic books.
It also, not to stand on my dumb soapbox here for a second, but it's very short.
Yeah.
It's like 30, 40 pages maybe.
Yeah.
And there was like some hardcover re-release special edition that they had like come out with to tie into the Joker Boone post Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. But there also was this book called The DC Universe Collected Stories of Alan Moore.
Oh, I love that book. I have that book.
And I would always say to people, they'd be like, do you have The Killing Joke? And I'd be like, don't buy The Killing Joke, buy this. It includes The Killing Joke. It costs the same amount of money.
It does.
And it has 10 better stories.
What do you have, The Man Who Has Everything? Or what do you buy, The Man Who Has Everything? The Superman story?
Yeah,
That's so
it's got
good.
some Swamp Thing stuff. It's got great stuff in it.
I love that book.
And people would always want to buy The Killing Joke because they want to have it on their shelf.
Yeah.
The Joker's twisted visage.
Yeah. Comic books. People are annoying.
Yeah.
2010, you get Kick-Ass.
Okay.
Iron Man 2.
Right.
Here's the big one. Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh, wait, you want us to do a Wonder Woman movie? I don't know, but Jonah Hex, though.
That's crazy. So 2011 is when we really kind of hit oversaturation point.
2011, the superhero movies are the Green Hornet, Thor, X-Men First Class, Green Lantern, Captain America, the First Avenger.
Yeah, that's the year where they start really kind of figuring out what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Not that all the movies are working, but the companies figure out their strategies about how they're making these movies.
Yeah. Anyway, it goes on. Anyway, The Dark Knight. The other thing he did, should we mention some of the people who were fucking considered for the Joker? I don't know.
I mean, like depending on who you believe, everyone.
Paul Bettany, Adrian Brody, Robin Williams. That's not real. That was like, they considered him for the Riddler.
Robin Williams always wanted to be in a Batman movie.
Right. And he was a big nerd.
And Nicholson briefly wasn't going to do it. And Williams signed on for the original 89 Batman. And then he found out that he was being used as negotiation leverage. He wanted to play the Riddler and Schumacher, but then Jim Carrey got so big. Yeah. And because, I think he had worked with Nolan before, he campaigned heavily to play someone in this trilogy. But, I mean, there was no villain picked that he was a right fit for.
And it became after this, everyone thought he was going to do the Riddler. Remember that?
For Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, everyone thought the third movie was going to have a Riddler, and everyone was always like, X for the Riddler? Like, can we have a Riddler?
You know who I thought he could have played?
The Riddler.
I thought he would have been a good Nolan-verse Hugo Strange.
Sure, a Hugo Strange would be fine.
I thought that was the kind of zone he'd be good at. But anyway.
Whatever.
Didn't happen.
So
everyone was considered. Apparently, Matt Damon was first offered Harvey Dent.
Makes sense.
And I remember being disappointed when he didn't get the part because it seemed kind of iconic. But man, Aaron Eckhart, like
Ruffalo, Ryan Phillippe, Josh Lucas, Liev Schreiber, Hugh Jackman, but I'm sure Jackman wasn't interested.
Liev Schreiber makes a lot of sense. But Eckhart's kind of ideal in this part. And he was an interesting point because he blows up in the company of men as like, oh, here's this very traditional kind of leading man guy.
Yeah, good-looking guy who's an ass, who can play an asshole.
Right, so then Hollywood was like, well, can we put him in a movie that's less toxic? And then he sort of became this like character support guy.
He's in Aaron Brockovich.
Where he's kind of unrecognizable. He's very good in it.
He's quite good in that movie. He's in Nurse Betty, which he's the villain in, sort of. He's like the asshole she leaves.
Yeah.
Then he's in The Core and Paycheck.
And it felt like he had kind of
He's really just struggling at this point.
It felt like he'd wiped out and then Thank You for Smoking.
2006, yeah.
Suddenly put him back on the map. And at that moment, Nolan is putting together Dark Knight and he becomes the guy.
And this is it.
And when this came out, everyone was like, now Eckart's finally found his place. He's going to be a solid Hollywood leading man. And he has only made bad choices since then.
Well, he was in Rabbit Hole, which, is a fine choice.
Actually, he rules in Sully.
Look, he's the best in Sully. But in between Rabbit Hole and Sully...
I, Frankenstein!
In the Fallen movies, which it's like... Oh, you're always like, oh, yeah, he's in those. He's the president.
Yeah.
In both of them.
Yeah.
But
in both of them, he gets kidnapped, and then Freeman becomes the acting president, so it's kind of a thankless role.
It's Freeman and Butler at those movies, not him. Yeah, exactly.
He's always just the MacGuffin,
I know, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And Bleed for This and Sully last year, he's great in both of those movies.
Yeah, but no one saw Bleed for This, and Sully was unrecognized in its time.
And of course, according to this thing I'm reading, he also played Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight Coaster.
The what?
The Dark Knight Coaster, a roller coaster.
Oh, really?
At Six Flags, Great Adventure.
We should go on that.
I don't know if it still exists.
If it does, let me ask this. If it does, could we do that as a bonus episode?
No way.
The three of us go to Six Flags. I'm looking at Ben right now. Ben?
I'm into it.
No, I hate roller coasters.
Great state of New Jersey.
Yeah.
We record an episode live at Six Flags.
Why did
Great
I
Adventure.
bring this up? Like, what is the matter with me?
We go on the coaster, we eat some churros, we have a fun time. I buy merchandise.
It'd be a fun day, David.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it still exists.
If you want us to do a bonus episode on the Dark Knight Coaster, tweet at David L. Sims and let him know.
Seems like it's in the dark.
Great.
I don't know.
All the better for podcasting.
That's going to be really fun to hear us on the ride.
Apparently it's somewhat of a mild coaster.
Great.
And smaller.
Great.
One snag, it's a bit dark, according to one of the comments I'm reading.
Well, good thing podcasting is an audio medium.
What, you think we're going to record?
Yes.
Of course.
We're going to ride it 10 times.
Jeez.
We don't talk in between our rides. We don't talk online. But every time we get on the ride, we start recording and pick up the conversation from where we left off. Bonus app.
We're about 40 minutes in. We should probably start talking about the movie, right?
Jesus Christ. Okay. So here's how the movie starts. It's a Warner Brothers picture.
Oh, no.
You're kidding me. No, it's actually, I like it's very, because the first movie, the title card is just bats.
Yeah.
Turning into a bat and then dispersing into bats.
And that movie had a color scheme, especially in its advertising, but also just in...
Brown.
Yes.
Brown. Swervy.
Yeah, I'm the one flying off the handle in this episode, David. Definitely. Let's lay all the blame at my feet. Mr. Brown over here. Taking a one-way trip to Browntown.
So what's the color scheme of this movie?
Blue.
No one's listening. They've all turned it off.
This is the biggest movie we'll ever cover, and we're blowing
it.
We were like guaranteed blockbuster
That's why we
episode.
chose Nolan. It's like everyone's going to want to hear our take on the big movies that they've all seen. And we're like, brown, blue. Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
We're not making Podmas for this one.
Rebecca's not going to like this. No. All right.
Okay. So, movie starts with an IMAX prologue that was released with I Am Legend.
Yeah. You mean the whole bank robbery set piece?
All shot in IMAX.
Yes. Before he made this movie, like all this Nolan shit turns into Legend. It's really annoying. I can't deny it. Like before they made before they made Batman Begins.
Wait, I'm sorry. It turns into
a legend.
Master Wayne.
Not Master Wayne. He's not Alfred.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Hockey pants.
Duck
Brown
Knight.
hockey pants?
Bartman.
What is this?
I just raised the table.
Yeah, I know. We have moving tables now. Oh, no. I'm crushing my legs.
Hey, stop it. This is not helping the episode, by the way.
Okay.
Come on.
I literally have no idea what we were just talking about.
Ben.
What's up?
Why so serious?
Why? He did it. He got that line in.
I got it in.
Before Batman Begins, he showed his crew Blade Runner, right?
Yes.
And he said, I want you to think about this movie when we're making this movie.
Yeah.
Before The Dark Knight, he shows his crew Heat.
Yes.
And he says, I love men to them. Movies about boys. But he also, right?
It's called Batman for a reason.
He starts with a bank heist and he casts William Fichtner.
Yeah.
Come on.
The great William
legend.
Fichtner?
The fucking greatest.
One of those great American character actors where
What
whenever
a
he shows up in a
face.
scene, you're in good hands.
We'll talk about it on our Michael Bay miniseries whenever it is we do it, but I want to preview now that his reading of the line, he's got space dementia in Armageddon, is like one of the top tier line readings of all time.
Dude is just a pro.
You go from never having heard of space dementia, hearing the word space dementia and thinking, that's not a thing, to totally believing in space dementia.
One, he's like my favorite type of character actor where he's simultaneously like pretty handsome and kind of creepy.
Very true, right. It's like he is, it's almost a Cillian Murphy situation where he does have a really striking face.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like, he's frightening.
There's something a little frightening. I'm sure if you saw him in person, you'd be like, unqualified, handsome guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you photograph him, something about him, he's got those icy eyes. He's got very, really defined cheekbones.
Yep.
I want to fuck his face. So there's what?
Throttle back.
What's going on?
Leave his face alone.
Okay.
No. He wanted Dwight Yoakam to play this role.
Oh, boy.
That's my favorite thing about it. But Dwight Yoakam was like, I gotta go, take my country act, on the road.
I gotta act in 5 Vince Vaughn movies.
So it's Fichtner, but he's so good.
So good.
But anyway, IMAX, as you say.
Right, and this was all part of the build up to this movie. They also did this thing, I don't know if you remember this, but they did this thing where they had like a whole kind of like Second Life viral campaign for the movie where people had to like email in to uncover images. Do you remember that?
We should talk about it. Obviously they had this whole campaign planned around the Joker.
Yeah.
And then Heath Ledger dies.
But this is even prior to that. I'm talking before the first trailer came out when they released the first image of what the Joker...
I remember the image of
that
him.
Thing?
Yeah,
and it was piece by piece you were trying to get...
I know, but we should talk about it. Heath Ledger died. I can't believe we'd even mention that.
Spoiler.
Heath Ledger died. When did he...
he died. I know exactly when he died. He died on my brother James's birthday. He died January 22nd, 2008.
I was living in Paris at the time.
I was in my one semester of college that I made it through. Or I'm sorry. I was at the start of the second semester that I dropped out of weeks later.
It was, I just remember someone texted me with like a confusing text that was like Heath Ledger, like, and I was like, why did someone just text me that? And I went onto the internet and I saw it, and it's like one of those rare celebrity deaths where I was like literally like shell shocked for like a day.
Yeah, it was so bizarre.
It was the worst.
It was the day of the Oscar nominations that year.
That's right. The year before.
My brother's birthday.
The No Country Oscars.
I was living in LA, so the time zones were different. Mm-hmm. And I just remember getting it and being very disarmed and confused for the entire day. It just felt like he had just emerged as like, oh, I guess this is the guy of his generation.
Right.
Brokeback seemed to cement him as like, he's going to be one of the guys.
100%. And then, you know, he's casting this and you're like, huh, okay, the Joker.
And people made all these dumb jokes. Everyone hated when he got announced. People were like, what, Joker's going to be gay now?
Brokeback Joker?
He's not
Who are
skinny.
these idiots?
His face is too round. Joker's supposed to look skeletal. There were all these dumb petty complaints. And then the second, like, stuff started coming out, the first images, the first trailers. By the time he died, there had been one trailer, and people were already like, Jesus Christ, this performance looks interesting.
It's for sure. And but
the design, the voice, everything seemed to be.
And then they had to like scrap their whole advertising campaign, which was all based around him. And they went with this much more muted campaign that was more like, you know, those images of like Batman in front of a skyscraper and like there's the bat signals on fire and stuff like that, you know.
But there was, I mean, you know, there were a lot of factors, but I don't think there's ever been more excitement for
more hype about a performance. No, 100%.
Than this. And it was like people were already excited to see Nolan do the Joker. Then people were excited by what they had seen of this performance. And then when he died, it added this like whole weird aura to it.
Right. You're right.
And you know, it's gross, but a thing that helps this movie and its legacy is that you never had him doing Jay Leno and talking about the performance.
You're right.
That the performance totally speaks for itself.
Yep.
That Nolan kind of was very respectful and classy about how he talked about Heath Ledger and didn't try to exploit his legacy. And it's just this weird out of nowhere performance that exists totally on its own without any sort of explanation. Were Heath Ledger still alive, we would see him right now on Ellen promoting his next movie, telling new Joker anecdotes to try to give his movie the Joker boost.
Maybe. Like Heath Ledger was always a weird guy, but maybe.
Agreed. But you know, the way people do that.
I know what you're saying, of course.
Travolta
you're saying it's
still
like
does
the
Pulp
Kurt
Fiction
Cobain
things.
thing or
Right,
whatever.
yeah.
I get what you're saying. And of course, I mean, but anyway, it sucks that he's dead.
Yeah, and that's, you know, like when this movie came out and just blew the doors off of all box office records.
It was why there had to be a sequel.
Right.
But it's so obvious that Nolan had no plans for a sequel that didn't have the Joker in it.
Right. And it kind of left him at a loss. But people kept on seeing it over and over again. It was really driven by, like, Nolan himself said when people asked him, like, what do you think's behind the success? And he goes, look, I think it's a weird lightning in a bottle thing. I'm proud of the movie we made, but Heath gave this incredible performance and the circumstances added this to it. And everyone is going to see it because of what he did. I just
remember it being, like, when did you see it? Like, I went opening night, I went to the Union Square Regal, and it was like every theater was playing The Dark Knight.
They did. The campaign was called Dark Knight All Night.
Yeah.
And these theaters would have every screen was playing The Dark Knight.
Right. And it'd be like 12, 1201, 1202, 1203. Yeah.
It played for 72 hours straight that opening weekend. I went and saw an early screening with my grandmother. She's a member of BAFTA, which is the British Academy of Film and Television Arts.
I'm aware of what BAFTA is. And this is your grandma who runs like a French film festival?
She's like a talent liaison for an American film festival in the north of France.
Yeah.
And so she gets invited to all these screenings and went with her. And they always, the BAFTA people will come out and give a little introduction where they just say the movie. And they never editorialize. They go like, this is the film directed by this person with this cast. Enjoy. And I remember the guy came out and he said, like, obviously weird circumstance with Heath Ledger, but everyone has said this performance is incredible. Like, there even was this thing in this like stuffy room of old British ladies. Everyone was like, what, this fucking performance.
Yes.
And I remember just in this very kind of like, polite, subdued crowd. I wasn't seeing it with like a blockbuster fanboy audience. Anytime he was on screen, there was this weird electric energy.
Electrifying. It's a great performance. It's crazy how good he is in this movie.
It's crazy. I will say though,
crazy like the Joker.
Even crazier.
Unpredictable.
Twisted.
No.
Twisted. I will say, watching it now, there is an element of so much of what was incredible about this performance is it just felt so surprising.
I guess so.
In terms of how much variation he has in the character, how much his dialect can change, how much his physicality can change, how much his energy can change. There's an unpredictable element to what's he going to do next, right? Like he captured how the Joker feels in your city to an audience member because you're just like, what's this guy doing zigging and zagging? And now this performance is so chewed over, so many impressions. It's weird watching it now when you know exactly what moves he's going to do.
Doesn't bother me.
It doesn't take away from the performance,
No.
but I'm saying there's a bit of an Austin Powers effect where it's like your uncle's done so many shitty impressions.
Maybe. To me, that's why it's good.
I think it's still great.
I love watching it.
I'm just saying,
wait for him to show up
I remember
every time.
watching the movie in that first screening and people just being like, what the fuck's he going to do next?
I know. I agree. You're right. Of course.
And now we know everything. It doesn't mean the performance is less good.
You've made your point.
Thank you.
Yeah. He robs a bank.
In IMAX. Which is crazy because it's a heavy camera.
It's true.
I mean, you got to be agile, fast to rob a bank, and he's holding his IMAX camera over his shoulder. You got that in the movie, the Joker is also supposed to be the camera operator, right?
It's clear. I think Nolan does a great job communicating that to the audience.
Much like Deadpool, Richard T. Joker knows he's in a movie.
He does know he's in a movie.
But he's so twisted. He doesn't want you to know that
honestly,
he knows.
that is like, think about that. That's an easy thing you could do with the Joker to fuck everything up.
Yep.
Anyway, they never. Not to say Jared Leto didn't even do that. He was just twisted.
Has done it yet.
Twisted. He does that.
Yeah.
Jared Leto.
Yeah.
He has an Oscar,
He does.
an Academy Award.
He does indeed.
That's what he's got.
So does Heath Ledger.
Yeah. Well,
The only man arrogant enough to be like, oh, follow Heath Ledger? Yeah, sure, I'll do that.
it's a tough thing to do.
Why would anyone say yes to that part?
Why would anyone who had an Oscar say yes to that part?
Well, Jared Leto's just like, I'm Jared Leto. I could do anything.
I get why. Names. Griffin Newman would say yes to the Joker.
I would, and also it was kind of rude they didn't offer it to me.
But it is funny that look, we're not here to discuss Jared Leto, but it is crazy that the whole publicity campaign was about how he's like, I am the Joker.
Yeah, you're right. We're not here to discuss Jared Leto. We should just Leto be.
Oh, actually, we got a
Thanks
package.
for talking over that, Ben.
We got a package sent.
Oh, what's in the package?
I don't know. It's oh God.
Oh
what
my
is
God.
in here?
It's rat condoms filled with dick blood.
Damn it, Jared.
Rat condom. Ridiculous. All right.
Oh God.
The Joker, he's up to no good.
Is a bad guy.
Robs a bank, a mob bank, with all these guys dressed like clowns.
It's a great sequence. People loved it.
It's so good. The whole thing where he's like, I know why they call him the Joker.
Well, there is this,
I love that shit.
There's this weird element.
It's so cheesy, but it totally works.
The IMAX cameras are notoriously loud.
Yes.
It's very hard to get usable dialogue recording.
Right. So it's good to have people's lips not moving. Is that what you're saying?
In this movie, most of the IMAX sequences are either action sequences or establishing shots.
Right.
And this is one of the full long sequences with a lot of dialogue that's also IMAX, and they're all wearing masks. And there is this weird heightened, like, all of the Joker thugs are clearly revoiced later in ADR. Their voices are a little disconnected. It makes it feel a little Batman the Animated Series in a way I like.
I like it too, and I like the way they talk with it.
Because they're all very like,
Hey, I hear this guy.
Hey, this Joker guy's crazy.
Yeah, they say his name's Richard or something.
His middle name is Tiberius.
The T stands for trouble.
They could have been a little more clowny. Like, they had the mask, of course, but I like when his henchmen have the whole gear. Like,
you
clown
mean like
stuff.
the Joel Schumacher type where it's like, right, where he's like, Mr. Freeze is like, all of my henchmen have to wear like snow suits.
They're all cold.
It's like in his rider.
yeah. And they're also ice skating their way through the bank.
Right. He's like, I can only rob like ice skating galas, frozen banks.
Mr. Freeze's top thug wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and his wife's like, honey, why are you so up so early? Don't you not have to be there until 9? He's like, yeah, but I got to paint my entire body blue. I'm a non-frozen man, and my boss will only keep me on payroll if I apply sparkly blue makeup to my entire body.
The Iceman cometh. Remember when he says that?
Yeah.
All right.
He says that when he's fucking Robin.
We're one scene into The Dark Knight, which is a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. Just FYI. Sorry, 2-hour and 32-minute movie.
Listen, if we do Christopher Nolan, our Dark Knight episode will be so huge we can't miss.
Let's just do it and be legends. So
unquestionably going to be our most listened to episode ever. Right?
Best reviewed. The Joker robs the bank.
So
He
it's
kills
full names.
fuck off. He kills everyone. Richard T. Joker.
Yeah, thank you.
God. I can't believe I'm going on with that bit. Richard T. Joker robs the bank. Everyone kills each other. It's a little Rube Goldberg machine.
I kill the bank driver. The bank driver. Jesus Christ. The bus driver.
Right.
That was
they shift around.
done.
But like, how many times in this movie alone, let alone in Inception, is it this where there's this like elaborate scheme that when you think about it for 1 second, you're like, well, wait a second, they'd have to be so precisely organized. Like, there's no way this could happen.
There's one of them in particular in this movie.
Which one?
I'll get to it when we get to it. But I think with the Joker, it kind of works because it makes him a little bit mystical. I mean,
yes, and he's a showman.
Force of nature thing. A, he's a showman. B, he's an agent of chaos.
Sure.
And he studies chaos. I mean, I like the idea that he's kind of so attuned to human behavior that he can kind of anticipate how people are going to react.
Anyway, he robs the mob bank. William Fichtner's mad about it.
All the mob money is in that one bank.
Right.
Steers away into a line of buses. And what's one of my favorite shots in the movie, I think it's just really good visual storytelling. How's he going to get away? You see this bus pull out covered in rubble. Oh, he's timed it perfectly. So all the buses from the local schools are all going at the same time. And the cop cars are moving in the opposite direction trying to catch him.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's a cute shot, but it's a good cute shot.
It's cute, but it's also like they had to block off a whole street in Chicago. They had to have 10 school buses and 10 police cars and all these extras.
For sure.
And it's a perfect like encapsulation of how Nolan weaponizes his blank check status. To be like, what I'm going to do is shut down a street, do this one shot that's really expensive, that will take like hours to reset. But I'm going to do it because I think this one shot speaks volumes.
And I'm going to shoot it on an IMAX camera.
Yeah. Like, that's why Nolan movies are so expensive, is because he takes his time and is just like, I'm going to do a day where we only can get one shot successfully.
Right. So, in this world, the Batman fights crime.
Bartman, but sure.
He's a man dressed as a bat.
He is. And he likes to strike a fear into the hearts of criminals throughout Gotham City.
His signal is in the sky. And you see some criminals are doing criminal business, and one of them's like,
Batman is Batmaning around.
And one guy's like, I don't think so tonight. And the guy's like, come on, will you have more luck of hitting the lotto? Hitting the lotto, Gotham Lotto. Ben's turning me down. You remember that line? I mean, like, does he say the Powerball? I forget what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
But this is an example of the movie being like, we know you all know who Batman is, even if you haven't seen Batman Begins.
You cut over to the cops.
You get it. You get who Batman is, what he represents.
You cut over to the cops, and one of the cops is like, hey, the
investigation is still ongoing.
Right. The guy's like, yeah, we got it. Yeah. And then the suspects are like Elvis.
Right.
Abraham Lincoln. Get it?
Yeah.
They don't really care.
And then we cut to an above ground parking lot.
Okay.
And a truck pulls up, and who comes out? Well, who is it? John C. Scarecrow.
Great. John Q. Scarecrow.
John C.
John C. Scarecrow comes out.
C stands for crazy.
Nice to let Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, most superhero franchises kill off their villains at the end of each film and they never come back. And this feels very comic booky, where it's like, no, they're always still operating.
The Scarecrow's around doing whatever garbage he's doing. Like, he's not like hooked up with Ra's al Ghul anymore, so he's not that cool. But he's like, he's got his bag mask.
Right.
And then he's taken down by the Batman.
Or is it
Batman?
This guy's wearing hockey pants.
And then the real Batman comes, takes them all down.
Oh, that's more like it.
Right.
That's him or whatever.
Yeah, Scarecrow's funny in that scene.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. You know what? The other scene that's funny is when he goes to Dangerfields and does the open mic and tries out his new material.
Get no respect.
Yeah.
He does 5 minutes.
And he keeps on loosening that noose around his neck. I tell you, get no respect. I'm shooting weaponized hallucinogens out of crowds, and Batman comes and punches me in the face. I go, I don't go to where you work and slap the batarang out of your hands.
Getting the light.
Oh, okay.
And Batman, he's got a problem he learns. He's got two problems he learns. Because this is the introduction of the Chechen as well.
Yes.
Who's this gangster whose bit is he likes dogs.
He's got them dogs.
And he says, my dogs are hungry.
And that's Batman's weakness. People don't know that Batman's kryptonite is dogs. He's just got allergies.
These dogs really fuck with him. The Chechen is played by who's he played by? Richie
Glenn Close?
Coster.
Oh,
Richie
okay.
Coster. No, it's not Glenn Close.
Are you sure about that? I thought he was pulling a hook.
Richie
And
Coster,
Albert Nobbs.
who's got a big role in Black Hat.
Oh yeah,
He's like kind of the chief villain for a while of that movie.
sure. The other problem is Batman's suit doesn't move very well.
That's the other
Which
problem.
is a cool kind of
He can't
meta
look around.
hat tip.
Yeah. He because he gets up and he's kind of like moves his whole body to turn left and right.
But that was like a big point. Is like this is the 6th major Warner Brothers
Right,
Batman
and he still
film.
has a molded rubber neck.
This is the first time they made a suit where he could turn his head independently of the rest of his body.
So after this little escapade, he goes to Lucius Fox, played by Morgan Freeman.
Now, Mr. Wayne, and he shows him all the new tools, and he gives him an upgrade, and now he's got the new suit. He goes, does it protect against dogs? And it's like, okay, great. Ha ha, funny, one comedy point.
Yeah, it's a great scene, and everyone laughs.
Everyone laughs so much. And now Batman has still not rebuilt Wayne Manor, so he's got a nice apartment. He's got a little basement that's sparse.
Yeah, it's very white.
But
It's
has
almost like Christopher Nolan designed it.
Yes. This is what Christopher Nolan's rumpus room looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
His children's bedroom. When they go, Daddy, we want to play with toys. He pushes a button and toys come out of the floorboards.
Right.
Christopher Nolan's a fun guy. So
Daddy.
it's just setting up. There's a great shot where he takes off his shirt and you see all the bruises. And it's like, okay, this movie doesn't take place that much later. The Batman Begins, but it's already taken its toll. Being Batman's tough.
It's hard to be Batman.
Hard to be a Batman.
Yes, it is.
I think that's the end of the movie, right?
So you've got Batman.
Yes.
You got not commissioner, sorry. He's not a commissioner.
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant Gordon,
Jim Gordon.
who is the head of like a special crime unit.
Oh, yeah, and Batman
that
checks in with
interacts
him.
with Batman.
Oh, this is a thing I like a lot about this movie that
Yes.
other superhero movies wouldn't do. And this gets to Nolan having these sort of loftier ambitions to try to make a real crime movie.
Yeah.
Is how much time it spends in this sort of criminal Ponzi scheme sort of thing going on. The Lao shit.
Yeah.
That it isn't just like a quick hand wave thing. It's like there's like an hour of this movie that's really tied up into the intricacies of this money pot.
So the idea is there's the mob,
Right.
and there's sort of like 3 mobs. There's like Chechen mob, whose dogs are hungry.
Right.
You got Italian mob led by Maroney, who's
Eric
played
Roberts.
by Eric Roberts.
Right.
It's pretty good.
I like him in this movie a
He's
lot.
doing his thing.
Yeah, but he's good.
And then you've got like Michael J. White as
Right.
Gamble, who's like an African American mobster, and like he's I don't know, he's like barely in the movie. So, but
Yeah,
like
he gets
those
out pretty
are the 3 people at like the mob table,
Right.
when the mob has a mob meeting,
And then there's Lau.
and then there's
Who's their
Lau,
money guy, a glorified accountant. But
who is an
he's-
accountant from Hong Kong,
He's trying to pull a Madoff on them.
who is going to take their money,
Yeah.
because it's being tracked by Gordon and Batman,
Right. And their bank was robbed.
and their bank was robbed, and he's going to pool it in Hong Kong where it can't be touched
Sure.
by American officials.
Yeah. And he'll collect the interest.
And so the Joker comes in to this room in his first real introduction.
Good piece of acting.
This is the scene, I think, where we were all just losing it. I mean, the pencil thing.
Yeah. And there's just so much shit going on in
He's
this
so-
performance.
It's true, because he does all the stuff.
That's what I'm talking about, the unexpected thing. Like
I know.
he
I
switches to
know.
all these different. Because sometimes he sounds Southern, sometimes he sounds Midwestern.
And there's the thing where the guy's like, he's crazy, and he's like, I'm not.
That's my
crazy.
favorite moment.
It's a great moment.
The mouth work, I love. All
Is
the
incredible.
like
Yeah.
mouth movement and sounds he's making are so
Well, and the
great.
idea
I'm
is that those
not.
scars are as prominent in the inside of his cheek, so
Right.
he's constantly kind of feeling them. But that crazy thing, I love that, like, as much as he's presented as this, like, you know, ne'er-do-well, devil-may-care,
Yes.
like he just loves chaos thing, it's like, oh, that's the one moment in the entire film you see this bit of vulnerability in him, which is like, he doesn't want to be thought of as crazy.
No. And he's not right. He's not like a sideshow act to these, or he doesn't want to be. Like these people are so beneath him, in
Right.
his opinion. I love also when he refers to Lau as the television.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if you listen to the television's plan like that, yeah. But so he comes in and he says, I'll kill the Batman for you.
Right.
Because he's ruining your business.
That's what's going on. Let's turn back the clocks. Everything used to be okay.
Now you've got the Batman. I can kill him for you. And they're like, in exchange for what? He says half. They all laugh at him. But then he leaves.
Yeah.
With his grenades.
Right.
But
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
Right.
And then he has that final moment where he goes, here's my card. And he very casually holds up the playing card, the Joker card.
Yes.
without overselling it like a joke.
Right.
And I remember
he kind of goes he's like, here's my card.
Right.
Yeah.
But he says it as if it's not unusual.
Right. As if here's my
an
card.
Actual business card that they could reach him at. And I remember at that moment in this screening, it was essentially everyone applauded him.
Well, because also he's done the pencil thing where Gamble's like, get that guy. And he's like, how about a magic trick?
Right. But the scene's just a fucking tour de force. And at the end of it, it was like he had just done a Broadway show-stopping number. It was the range of what he does within this 1 4-minute section.
The thing with the pencil is if it was just that he puts the pencil down and then smashes the guy's head into it, you're like, oh my God, a shocking bit of violence. Yeah, that would be effective, right? But it works because he goes like, it's gone. He's immediately shifts into very silly mode.
Right.
And one thing about this movie that I think is fascinating is that it is not violent at all. In terms of there's almost no blood or gore until Two-Face, which is of course this crazy gory special effect.
Well, there's also that moment.
That scene, there's no violence.
Nothing.
It's all in your head, whatever it is he does.
And there's the moment later, skipping ahead a little bit, where it is implied does the mouth scars on Gamble.
Right.
And it's so...
Which is a creepy scene, and
creepy.
I mean, if I was showing my kid that scene, it would freak them out even though you don't see it.
But he's holding the knife to his face the whole fucking time, and then... Is it Gamble or is it one of Gamble's men?
I believe it's Gamble.
I think it's Gamble himself, and then he does the aggressive expansion thing to Gamble's two guys. He's holding the knife to his head, and then there's the moment where there's the shock, "Dum!" in the score to imply that he's now cut his face.
Yes.
But they just cut, and he's let go of Gamble. There's no blood anywhere.
Yep.
You don't see any kind of contact between the knife and the flesh.
No.
It's all implied. It's all in your head.
Yep.
So Joker has now made himself known. And Gordon says when Batman sort of stops by the bank vault.
Taking him that serious.
Right. Gordon's like, this Joker guy. And he's like, don't fucking talk to me about this Joker.
He's like, I know. I'll keep an eye on it. What am I supposed to do about the Joker?
Guys wearing dumb things on their faces are my specialty. I can beat them up in my sleep. Don't worry about it.
Right.
And he meets Dent on the rooftop.
Meets Dent on the rooftop. It's Dent and Gordon. The three of them are up on the rooftop.
Which is a shot I love. It's circling around the three of them.
And immediately Dent and Gordon are arguing because Dent's like, you cops are corrupt and I don't trust you. I know you're a good cop, but your guys are bad. And Gordon's you're the leak. You're the one who's fucking everything up. Batman's not talking. He just disappears.
And they're kind of ignoring him.
Yeah.
He only butts in the conversation at the end of it, but it speaks to the larger concept of the movie, which is just what if this movie was worked on its own as just a depiction of a city and its politics and its crime,
a RICO case,
and then also Batman's in it.
Well, right, because
Batman's just to the side of the shot.
But that's the thing. It's they're well, we were trying to get these guys cold by tracking the money,
right?
But Lau has escaped with the money. So Batman's job in that conversation, they're just can you get Lau? He's in Hong Kong. We can't get him.
Yeah.
And Batman's like, I'll look into it.
So he gets the new suit.
His voice is quite low.
Yeah. In this one, it gets really Baldwin-y. Really. He goes full Baldwin.
It's
Lemon.
A lot. Uh-huh.
What do you think I am, Lemon? A farmer?
It's a classic line.
Yeah. So he puts together this awesome Batman sequence where he investigates sky hooking or whatever the fuck it's called. So he can jump out of a plane.
There's a plane that goes by. Batman shoots out this floating balloon.
Right.
And the plane catches the floating balloon and then sucks them in. It's super cool.
It's super cool.
But no, the next thing that happens is Batman's well, I'm not going to worry about the Joker right now. I'm just going to get Lau.
Right.
And he and Alfred and Lucius cook up this whole Hong Kong caper.
Right.
So because you got Lucius going to the boardroom.
Right. The fake phones.
And Alfred's on a yacht.
With Russian dancers. Oh, that's the other thing that happens.
With the ballerinas.
He has the night where he runs into Rachel Dawes.
And then, you also have Rachel
now
Dawes.
Played by
Maggie Gyllenhaal. Now, I'm going to say something. I have no idea if you agree with me. Maggie Gyllenhaal's pretty bad in this movie.
I think she's pretty hit and miss. Some scenes I think she's right in the pocket. Some scenes I think she's totally off.
I think Katie Holmes is better than Maggie Gyllenhaal.
I kind of agree with you, even though Maggie Gyllenhaal's sort of better casting for this role. Physically, she fits. She's closer to Christian Bale in age.
Her first scene is rough.
Yes.
Where she's Jim's a friend, actually. Where she's trying to make the exposition sound natural, and it's just
She's got some scenes where she feels like she's fighting at the same level of everyone else in the cast, and some scenes where it feels like she's like, well, I'm in a comic book movie. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Some scenes it feels like she's being a little flippant.
I'm all over the place on her as an actress because I love her in some movies, but
Same
I
here.
really dislike her performance in Crazy Heart, which
I do
got
too.
her an Oscar nomination.
That character's also abysmal.
It's a terrible character.
But
Like, horrible.
It's
character.
weird that she got nominated for that. You know what I think she's really...
I think it was kind of like a, hey,
you've been doing some
you're
good
Maggie
work.
Gyllenhaal. You've been around. We like you. Everyone's worked with you.
You know what I think she's really good in?
What?
Weirdly, World Trade Center.
I've never seen World Trade Center.
She's the one... Her and Michael Pena play husband and wife in that movie.
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
two of them are really fucking good in it, and the rest of the movie is kind of like a fart. But she's got a couple scenes in that movie that are pretty incredible, playing what is a very stock kind of Oscar movie archetype of the suffering wife, you know?
Yes. Sure.
She's really good in it, though.
I really like her in Sherry Baby.
Yeah.
I like her in... I'm trying to think of other things. I don't know. She hasn't done a lot of movies.
I like her in...
She stopped doing movies now that I'm looking at it. She's
Really?
in this The Deuce, the TV show
HBO
that's
series,
coming.
yeah.
But she really hasn't made a movie since 2014.
What was that
Frank.
one? Oh, right.
Which she's fine.
She's pretty good in that, actually.
Wasn't a
yeah.
huge fan of that.
Yeah, I'm not
And then,
either.
before that, White House Down. I forgot that she's in that. She's so good in that.
Yeah, she rules in that.
Yeah, she's awesome in that movie. So
it is the thing, though. Like, I think Katie Holmes felt like she had a lot more to prove being in this type of movie, so she really upped her game.
I mean, she's not terrific in Batman Begins.
No.
But she's fine.
But Maggie Gyllenhaal, it feels like it's slacking off in certain
Yeah,
scenes.
there's a couple scenes that kind of just set my teeth on edge.
Agreed, but you innately buy her more as a DA. You innately buy her more as a contemporary of Christian Bale. Like, she's a better piece of casting, but a less effective performance.
With this. I agree with what you're saying. Anyway.
A couple scenes I think she's really on.
She also, unfortunately, unlike in Batman Begins, plays the classic Nolan role of Ghost Lady.
That's the thing. If she had played Rachel Dawes in the first movie,
might work better.
It might work better. But in this, it's like now here's a new actress and you're setting her up just to die.
Yeah.
It's hard to buy a new person playing this character and then immediately have her be like the emotional justification
and you
for the
know
collapse.
it.
You know it.
You know it.
You know it.
You know it going in.
Yeah, she's doomed.
She's doomed. So Rachel is now, who was dating an ADA in the last movie, P.S.
Yeah.
Now she's dating a DA.
Yeah.
Played by Aaron Eckhart.
Right. I Frankenstein himself.
I Frankenstein Dent.
I Frankenstein.
Frankenstein I Dent. Harvey Dent.
But they have this scene where Bruce Wayne's out with his Russian...
With the prima ballerina of the Russian...
And they run into each other,
Moscow
right?
ballet
One of
or
them
whatever.
walks by the other person's table and they sit down, they have this talk, and it feels
but it's more like also he's Bigfooting them because it's
Yeah.
like Harvey's like, I've had to wait 3 weeks for this reservation. I'm really excited. And Bruce is like, hey, asshole, what's up, you little shithead?
Yeah, I'm just popping
I'm
in.
going to get a table next to you. And Aaron Eckhart, Harvey's like, oh, we can't do that. And he's like, I think we should be able to. I own the place.
It's maybe Bale's best scene in the movie, though, because he has this shift where
Terrific
he's
scene.
kind of territorial with this woman who he's obviously been in love with his entire life, who won't date him because he's Batman, and he's sort of testing him and Bigfooting him. And then there's the moment where he starts to kind of fall in love with Dent and how he's talking about everything.
He's actually into it, but of course he can't totally drop the mask of Bruce Wayne.
And that's why he does this whole fundraiser thing of trust me, one fundraiser with my friends, you'll never have to work again. Right, but
also he prickles a little bit at being at where he's like, is Wayne Manor on city limits? And he's like, yeah,
shouldn't you know?
Yeah, it's in
That's the
Gotham.
deal. Yeah, it's in the Glades. I think he says the Palisades.
The Palisades.
Yes,
I'm trying to find the name of the prima ballerina. I think it's Beatrice Rosen plays her. I love that she immediately is like just weighing in on the debate of the day. She's like, this Batman, he makes a fool of you, Harvey Dent, you are hero, and he's like, Batman might be okay. Then she's like, perhaps. She holds up the paper. Maybe you are the Caped
and it's
Crusader.
a great moment because you're like, Aaron Eckhart does have Batman chin.
I also just like
you
yeah,
can
he does.
see that
He does.
chin in a fucking cowl.
But I just like that she gets to do some expositional dialogue.
Right. And it sets up,
it's such a stupid thing.
It sets up this dynamic where every time Bruce comes across Rachel and Dent, Rachel rolls her eyes and is like, oh, Bruce. And then Dent rolls his eyes and is like, yeah, Bruce. And she's like, wait, but you don't get him. She's rolling her eyes because she knows it's a put on.
Right.
And then Dent's rolling his eyes because he's buying it at face value. And then she has to correct him and be like, he's actually a good guy. I can't explain to you why I'm so frustrated right now.
Right.
But so that sort of happens when they go to the ballet and it's closed down because Wayne has constructed this alibi that he's out fucking all these ballet dancers in order to skyhook over to Lau's kingdom, his building.
Yeah. He does the skyhook.
He does it, and it's IMAX, and it's great.
Love that scene. Although I do feel like the action in that scene and then later in the climactic scene, again, we hear this complaint.
He's not good at hand-to-hand combat.
Nolan's not particularly good at the one-on-one
He's
combat.
good at vehicles. He's good at large landscapes. Anytime Batman's flying or standing on a rooftop, the second he gets in close, it's bad.
But when he gets that skyhook and he zips out and then the score kicks up,
Yeah.
Great.
It still is, like, just watching it on a TV 9 years later, anytime it cuts to one of those IMAX shots, you're like, this is truly fucking striking. Just the depth and clarity of the image is unbelievable.
Of course, with every movie post this, he's only doing more IMAX.
Dunkirk is like almost entirely, right?
I think this is his thing. Because like the whole thing about IMAX has always been like, you can't, because the cameras are so big, you can't shoot IMAX. And he's always been like, they shot a fucking Everest movie on IMAX cameras. They can get it up there.
Yeah.
They can shoot my thing.
And the other thing is there used to be a length limit. IMAX platters were so big, IMAX movies could only be over a certain length. So like when Attack of the Clones was transferred into IMAX, they had to cut those 20 minutes of romance scenes out of it. And he has boosted IMAX profits so much that he's like, figure out how to get more platters.
Right.
Figure out how to let me make longer IMAX movies. And they've done it. He says jump and they do. They say how high. And then they watch How High.
Men.
Method Men and Red Men. They're the stars of How High.
True.
How high are they?
Men.
Very.
Method and Red.
Yes. Men, Red and Meth.
So.
You know who directed How High, right? Bob Dylan's son. He comes back to Gotham.
What's his name again?
Jesse Dillon.
Right.
No, it's Jacob.
Yeah. I'm proud of my son. He directed How High.
Jacob Dylan's another son, right?
Yeah, he's the Wallflowers.
Yeah, right.
I'm also proud of Jacob. He covered Heroes for the Godzilla soundtrack.
That's my Bob Dylan dad impression.
I love it. The Joker,
Richard T. Joker, go on.
reveals himself in Gotham, starts kidnapping. Is that when he first kidnaps he kidnaps the fake Batman?
Starting tonight, people will die. I'm a man of my word.
Releases the torture video, and he says, right, I'm going to start killing people.
Very scary. Good camera work.
Yes, Heath did it himself. That became part of the legend of this movie.
And there's the part where he drops into the deeper guttural voice.
Look at me!
And it's very scary. And you go, oh, maybe I shouldn't be laughing at this Joker. Maybe I should be trembling.
Trembling!
Oh, we forgot that awesome scene where
Harvey
Dent's
punches
he punches the guy and steals the gun. That's a real, like, oorah scene, but...
I agree. It's a little bit of that. It's fine.
Yeah.
I wish there was, just because this movie's so committed to the realism, that there might be a little bit more of like, Jesus fucking Christ. He pointed a gun at you and pulled the trigger.
He like deconstructs the gun with one hand and goes like, 60 millimeter carbon
buy
fire.
American.
Yeah, okay. Get the fuck off,
All
man.
right, Denty. Like, Dent would be like declared king of Gotham if he did something that cool.
Yeah.
All right. So that you need these. Here are the people you need. You need a judge. There's like a nice judge,
but not the judge.
No, not the judge.
Bob Duvall is not in this movie. What are we up to? 3 hours? David just looked at the clock. Okay.
The minute you mentioned the judge, I was like, oh God. You need Police Commissioner Loeb.
Yes.
He's back.
He's back.
He's in it. He actually has a laugh line when he gets out the booze.
You got Mayor Batmanuel.
And then you got Mayor Batmanuel from The Tick. You got Mayor Richard Alpert from Lost. Nestor Carbonell as Anthony Garcia, the mayor of Gotham.
Yes.
And I guess the idea of him is he's kind of the mayor for like a hip new Gotham, because he's kind of like, hey, crime's down. Things are great.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, still shitty. He's like, no, it's nice.
It's got a little edge.
So is this... Yeah, now I'm trying to remember the exact timeline of this movie. I guess it's just the Joker starts killing people.
Yeah, and this case is going on. They're trying to put together the RICO case, which I think is Gyllenhaal's best scene, is when she's interrogating...
Gyllenhaal?
Really?
Gyllenhaal?
Well, no, but Jake is Gyllenhaal and she's Gyllenhaal, right? I think she's really good. And then when she goes back to them and she's like, RICO case, I got it, I'm on it. Like, you buy her being
definitely.
A real pro.
Agreed, yeah. And... When's the fundraiser is right in this part.
Right around here, yeah. So the Joker's this lingering threat. He wants Batman to unmask himself. He's like, Batman is a false idol. He's not the solution. He's the problem. He's made things worse. Through escalation, starting tonight, people will die. I'm a man of my word. Batman doesn't reveal himself. I'm going to start killing people.
Right, but then you have like we should say you've got like the scene where he kills Gamble and he does his first Scars monologue.
Right.
And then there's the big fundraiser scene where he shows up with a gun and some henchmen. And he takes Rachel and tosses her out a window.
Right. And does his alternate Scar monologue.
And does his second Scar monologue. That's the scene that Patrick Leahy is in. Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont, who loves Batman, is in every Batman movie.
Also, Heath Ledger's in that scene.
True. He plays the Joker.
Richard T.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a really good basic storytelling trick of just like, if you have him offer two different stories, then you can't believe anything he says.
No, it's a very nice, and also it lets Heath Ledger monologue, which he's good at. There's
that great anecdote about when Gene Wilder signed on to do Willy Wonka. He demanded that he have that character introduction where he walks out, hobbling, and then falls over, does the somersault, and drops the cane, because he said, if I do that in my introduction, the audience will never know whether to believe me or not.
Right.
Which works really well for that movie. You never know if Wonka's lying, if he's friendly, if he's villainous. And the Joker, it's the same thing where you just like don't fucking know. You don't fucking know.
Right.
You don't know.
Right, because the first one, one of the monologues is about his wife.
Right.
One of the monologues is
Abusive
about his father.
Right.
I think that's it, right? Because the third one he gets cut off.
Yes.
And that's sort of in the tradition of that character in the comic books too, right? Where it's always sort of been like changed and different sort of
Except sometimes they do origins for him. But then they're kind of like, forget it.
Yeah, they usually negate them or they go, maybe there were two of them.
Because the Killing Joke is an origin story for him.
He's a shitty stand-up comedian.
Right. And it's like one bad day could make anyone crazy.
He's working the mics with Scarecrow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's at the Comedy Store
He's
working
doing
on
the
his
circuit. Giving his time back to the room.
So that scene is like your first Batman-Joker fight.
Yeah.
But it's brief.
It's brief.
And
because Rachel's thrown out and he jumps after her, and that gives the Joker an idea. Ooh, he likes Rachel.
Exactly.
Maybe he dent.
And then at the same time, he's like during all of this, he's killing the commissioner, who he kills with like poison drink.
Yes, whiskey. The judge puts her in bad car.
The judge goes in bad car and is blown up with like playing cards.
Right.
But and I like that though. That there's still the Joker gimmick with every murder where it's like, but like it's not like in previous movies or cartoons where it's like everybody's, gets their head trapped in a fish or what, like the Joker has like a big bit that he's doing.
In this one, he's just a branding expert.
Yes.
He's a brand ambassador.
He is a brand ambassador. It's weird in the middle of the movie how he just stops and goes like, why can't I get a mattress delivered to me in a box the size of a mini fridge? Using my promo code Joker.
Oh my God.
We're going to be here all day.
Oh my God. And then he tries to kill at the funeral for the commissioner.
Yeah.
He tries to kill the mayor.
This week's meals include,
I swear to God, shut up.
Sage risotto.
Everyone is sick of the bit about fucking Adderall. No one cares. We've done it so many times.
Who are your guys?
God.
Lock the gates.
No, that's great. That never gets old. What's the show called again?
This show?
No, the Maron show.
Blank Check with Mark and Maron.
Shut up.
It's called WTF. Wait,
no,
Glow?
That's it.
Don't worry, fifth time's the charm.
He shoots the mayor.
Yes.
At the funeral, but Gordon takes the bullet. He's dead.
Now, here's my biggest logic gap in the movie, okay?
Dead! He'll never come back!
Right. Even though there are a lot of scenes in the trailer of him.
Yeah,
that
later.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
I remember seeing it in theaters and being like, did they just cut out all of Gordon's stuff?
No, come on. You didn't think he was dead.
I thought he was dead.
Wow.
I thought he was dead.
Did you cry?
No, but he is one of my best friends.
Yep.
There's an earlier part in the movie. What's his name? Lucius Fox asked Batman about, I saw this change in the things. And he goes, Lucius, look, I'm playing this one pretty close to the chest.
Yes.
Which is not the term. The term is close to the vest.
He's not wearing hockey vest.
Right. It tracks, but it's not exactly what the term is, right? The more popular version.
Okay.
Some podcast recently went on about this, maybe Hollywood Handbook. Then when Gordon later reveals that he is not dead, Mayor Batman Well says, wow, Gordon, you do play this stuff close to the chest.
Yeah.
Even though he had never said that earlier in the movie. It's Batman who says it to Lucius Fox.
Yeah, but
it's a callback from a different character saying it
so
to a different
that's your biggest logic hole in the movie?
No, the biggest logic hole is the Gordon plan makes no sense. The Gordon fake death makes no sense. Who knows about it? What's he doing?
The
How's
Gordon
he
fake
orchestrated
death is kind of like the it's like that Arrested Development joke about how there's two coolers.
Yeah.
And like he's like, we'll leave one cooler behind and take the real cooler. And he's like, but she's gonna know because I'm not gonna be there. Like, right. And he's like, but they'll be like, well, she'll be confused. And he's like, it's like 1 second.
The way the movie plays it, everyone seems to believe he's actually dead. It seems like no one knows that he's faking his death.
Because you have the scene where they deliver the news to his family.
Right.
And his wife is like, fuck you, Batman, or whatever. I can't even remember who she yells at,
But
she yells at Batman.
Were you guys surprised
that he comes back to life?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
mostly
remember
because
my
I
audience
was like
clapping.
Yeah, I think mine did too. I
'Cause
think all
he's
the old
good.
British ladies went, oh.
Yeah.
Well, then I rest my case.
Yeah, it just,
I didn't know this was your case.
Yeah. DA?
Yeah.
DA Hosley?
Uh-huh.
I just spent the rest of the movie being like, wait, how the fuck did he pull that off? Why do you have to put his wife and kids through all that? It doesn't really make sense.
He told you why. He plays it close to the chest.
Well, he didn't tell me that. Okay. Batman told that to Lucius Fox.
But they decided upon that
all of you
when they
quiet.
had made the plan.
Silence. Okay. I demand silence.
David.
Yes.
Why so serious?
So, because this is all leading up to, because now I actually am trying to think about how it's supposed to play out.
Yeah.
Because, right, Dent reveals that he is Batman.
Yeah.
At a press conference.
Right. Because if Batman isn't revealed.
Yeah, the idea is I'll keep killing people if Batman isn't revealed. Rachel's like the next target.
It's actually started happening. They got the intel that it's going to be Rachel.
So Dent is like, I'm the Batman.
And Bruce is
Bruce is ready
hearing.
to do
He's
it.
ready to do it.
He's so guilty about Gordon dying. I guess that's why Nolan has it.
And he has also confessed to Rachel at this point because
Dent tells
her, you're the next target. She goes, I need to go somewhere safe. I'm going to go to Bruce's house. And he goes, don't.
Yeah, why
again
do
with the
you,
Bruce
why
stuff.
do you
And she
hang
goes,
out with Bruce?
Trust me, Bruce Wayne is the safest man to be with in Gotham City right now. Trust me.
Yes.
She goes to Bruce, and Bruce is like, you told me the day I
was
stop being
not
Batman, we
Right,
can
right.
bone. We can take it to Sausage Town.
Right, exactly. Sausage party.
I can give you a little bit of the salam.
Griffin's too into this. Griffin's like so delighted.
Coffee's going to meet bagel the day that I stop being Batman. Am I right?
Yeah, are you on Raya yet?
No, I still haven't approved. I'm verified on every social media platform. I'm the star of a fucking TV show. About to be fucking multiple action figures, and I can't get on Raya, the dating app for famos that no one's supposed to talk about because the entire currency is that it's secret.
Well, this ain't going to help your cause.
Maybe. I'm going to neg Raya into accepting me.
It's a good call.
You're not on it?
No, I'm not. They won't. I've been waitlisted for
Are
a
you
year.
on it, Ben?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Excuse me.
He's very
Finest film
famous.
critic.
He is our finest film critic.
Poet laureate of America.
You want to hear how bad it's gotten? A good friend of mine has now recently been hired to the board of approvals for Raya, and even he can't get me approved.
Who?
I don't know. Maybe
fine.
let's bleep that out because I don't know if you
Bleep it out.
I don't want people sliding into his DMs begging him.
And it's cooler when it's bleeped out because then no one will know who
Exactly.
it is. And it's like, oh my God.
But he went to Raya and was like, hey, my friend Griffin, he's on a TV
Yeah, he's
show.
an actor,
right.
famous.
And then I was like, they still haven't accepted me. He's like, they still haven't accepted him?
Jesus. They probably just don't care.
I hear
about
they
you.
hate Jews. I think that's what's going on.
Well said. So
Thank you.
Dent is taken into custody,
Correct.
but as this convoy is driving him across town,
Mhm.
guess who should appear?
Ricky T jokes.
It was the centerpiece of the trailers.
Mhm.
The truck flip.
Vehicles.
They talked about
Nolan's
it
forte.
like he'd fucking turned lead into gold. It is great. I love the truck.
And
What's the business that the truck is? Do you notice that it says slaughter?
Yeah.
It's like
But it's supposed to
like
say
a birthday
laughter
party
is the best
clown.
medicine
Yeah.
or whatever, right? But it says slaughter.
What, a party clown business needs
Yeah, it's
a
like an
semi-truck?
18-wheeler.
Yeah. Well, look, Ben, to be fair, for decades, you've had multiple clowns crammed into too small a vehicle.
Oh, shit.
Right?
What if
And this company very progressively
one
said,
clown?
one clown, give him a whole 18-wheeler. That was their whole
Now, Ben,
operation.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Benjamin J. Hosley Is your middle name Jay? I have no idea what your middle name is.
My middle name is McCormick.
Great. Benjamin M. Hosley. Yeah. You have a line that you like from this scene.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to unfold your piece of paper, he wrote this down verbatim while watching the movie.
Yeah, so the SWAT driver, it's a good moment of
played by
comic
Nikki
relief.
Katt.
Yep.
He's like, what is that? A rocket launcher? But his delivery of it's fun. And I had suggested that Griffin say, what is that? A podcast? So that's what I wrote down here.
Very identifiable. If I had said that, everyone would have known which line that is.
Okay, now that you point that out.
Rocket launcher is the big word.
He says the bazooka.
What if it was rocket podcast?
That might have
or
worked.
Podcast launcher?
Podcast launcher.
And as I replied to Ben, I love the line where he's like, that's not good. And then the helicopter crashes. And he goes, well, that's not good.
You got these two SWAT guys. One guy's face is fully covered. The other guy is Nick Cat. Sans mustache. Not playing the same character from Insomnia.
He's a master of disguise.
Master of disguise.
Well, maybe this character from Insomnia shaved his mustache.
No, because as you said, this is a master of disguise, which means he's part of the Disguisey family line.
Oh, I see.
His name's Almondo Disguisey.
Get the fuck out of here and never come back. Walk into the traffic.
What, you think I'm not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
Oh, boy.
The other SWAT guy's not talking. Nicky Katt's talking too much. What's going on? Oh, it's Jim Gordon.
Uh-huh.
He played this one close to the chest.
Yeah.
Faked his death. Great chase sequence. They give chase. The tumbler chasing after. The armored SWAT vehicle chasing after. The Joker. Everyone's chasing after everyone. Joker's trying to kill. It's great. It's great.
Mean, and then the tumbler.
Bat pod.
The bat pod. I mean, like.
Rules.
It's so good.
That's good. It's good.
Like, you remember, like, the fact that the bat pod just doing a thing, like going up the wall and then he flips around and then it goes the other way.
Yeah.
Like, that got like a goddamn standing ovation.
Yeah,
in the
and once
theater.
again, I saw it in a theater full of old British women, and it got applause breaks.
I mean, it's so cool.
It played like it was a Merchant Ivory movie. They were flipping out.
It's got big tires.
Yeah, you know the one I love is when he
tires.
pulls out of that like underground shopping mall, and the tire starts moving horizontally rather than vertically for the turns. I love that. It's just a cool vehicle. The moment where it turns into the bat pod, where it's shaking, is so awesome.
And then it goes like, goodbye.
Yeah, and then it explodes. The two kids firing the guns with their fingers. It's fun. It's a fun movie.
This is the height of the movie. This is the movie just like is so exciting. And what I love...
Like movie 2 now or movie 1?
We're at the end of movie 2.
Okay.
I guess it's 2 movies really because this is the end of movie 1 really.
Yeah, I think the movies are kind of interwoven.
No, of course they are. I'm not really, but it's the end of the Joker section of the movie.
Correct.
Sort of,
That he's really running the table
Exactly, because it's like the idea is the Joker kind of wants Batman to kill him.
Well, look, let's call it what it is. The Joker in this movie is a troll.
Yeah, it's true. He's a head troll.
That's what's going on. The alt-right has adopted all these different pop culture figures as their sort of representations. But I feel like a lot of the negative aspects of culture today, whatever Gamergate, whatever group you want to assign it to, is very seeped in like the Joker mentality of just like the only thing that sucks is caring about something.
Right.
You just got to like do it for the lulz, fuck everything, make fun of anyone who has any stance.
But
just want to watch the world burn.
Right. We as we said, we were going to talk about that because that's become like the motto of a lot of annoying people in the world.
But here's the thing. Like, I like this movie a lot. I don't like it as much as most people, but I like it a lot. But ever since Trump has gotten elected, that line like rings in my head every single day.
Some men just won't watch the world burn.
And there's the
That's
line.
How he says it perfectly.
There's the line when Alfred is trying to explain to Bruce how the Joker works.
He's
and
talking
he goes,
about the bandit.
No, but even before that, when he says, like, you backed them into a corner.
Yes, they turned to something that they don't understand. Right.
And it's like, that's how everyone talks about the GOP right now, is they elected this guy who they thought they could control.
All right. I don't want to talk about that shit.
But it is.
I'm moving it past it. I don't
is
care.
crazy how much more resonant this movie is.
You're right, but I hate comparing fucking politics that affects people's lives to movies, and we're just moving straight past it.
We don't do it a lot.
We're moving past it.
We don't do it a lot.
You got your point out? It's fine. I want to move past it. Please, I'm begging you.
It's not even that I think it's a comparison. It's that I think this movie actually kind of...
What?
Started a lot of it.
Well, I mean...
I think you got a lot of dumb boys who want to be like the Joker.
People are dumb.
The Joker became this figure of like cool, careless.
I know.
Just live your life, complete power.
but except it's like Vine accounts of people vaping and being like, I'm like the Joker.
Right, but also like, you know, you look at how like Anonymous was like latching on to V.
For Vendetta. Yeah.
Right? And it was like, oh, it's this guy who's like fighting for freedom. And then it just became the Joker where it's like the only thing you're fighting against is everything.
Yeah, he's like,
there's no end
if
game.
X, then I choose Y.
Right.
You know?
You just got to do the opposite.
But I also think within the world of Batman, it's so delightful to Joker, the idea that in dying, the Batman's going to kill him, and then everyone's going to be like some people would be like, well, I think it's good that the Batman killed Joker. You know, like he loves that. Yeah. Like he's delighted by the idea that his legacy is going to be people being like, I think it's good to just kill people.
Much like some presidents currently in office, the Joker's power comes from people talking about the Joker.
For sure.
It doesn't matter if it's good or bad.
It's
it
true.
doesn't matter if it ends up with
likes
dead.
Ats.
He
likes getting an at.
He's the best villain. He really is.
I know, he's great.
It's so good.
He's such a shithead.
Such a strong, fucking great goddamn character.
I do love that scene where the Joker is like awake at 4:00 in the morning, like tweeting at all of his haters, and his assistant comes in and goes like, Joker, we have to take your phone away from you.
LOL cuck. LOL snowflake.
Sad.
No.
Why so serious? Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
Richard T. Joker, in a great moment for Heath Ledger, is standing there at the road. Batman's driving towards him.
Truck's flipped over. This is my favorite Ledger moment, is the truck flips over and there's the long shot, unbroken, of him slowly crawling out.
Oh, he's so funny. He's so physically funny in that. Yeah. I mean, in all his scenes, but yes.
And then he sort of skips a little bit over.
Yeah, and he's
Batman.
like, and
there's just so much good physical comedy.
Hit me. Batman doesn't kill him, right?
You missed me.
Rolls off the bike, and then my favorite bit is when he's like, what? I'm going to try and take his head mask off. Yeah. And it zaps him. Yeah. And he's so delighted by that because it's what he expected, but it's still funny that he designed a goddamn shot collar into his suit. I really think it communicates so much in that moment because he's just like, like he's so amused by it.
But he also likes that someone else is operating on the same level as to take it this seriously.
He's taking all this bullshit so seriously.
They're both branding experts.
Because Joker doesn't care who Batman is. Joker's not a person.
Yeah.
He doesn't. It's not like he's like, if I know who it is, then I'll be able to exploit him.
Right.
He's just amused at the idea of everyone knowing who it is. It's like you say, he's a big troll.
He's a big troll.
He gets arrested.
Yes.
And this is the most common. And of course, right, Gordon's there and he's like, we got you, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Right. So he's alive.
Unmask, you do play it close to the chest.
And again, like you said, I have no idea why Gordon really needs to be dead. I guess it's just to spur. No, I don't know.
Who knows? I do like that he goes back to his family and you have the scene of his wife slapping him in the face.
Yeah, and it's good, but you're right. I mean, Nolan wants this because he wants Gordon's family to be part of the end of the movie. Right.
But it also is nice. I understand that it's there for plot machinations, but it also is nice to have the movie call him out for being a fucking dickhead. That's a shitty thing to do.
It's a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
So.
And he gets to wake his son up, and it's like the moment that Bruce never got where his dad suddenly comes back to life.
But they arrest the Joker.
Did Batman save you? No, I saved him. Cool.
Also, I play it close to the chest.
He plays it very close to the chest. His son says that to him.
I'm going to kill
And he's like, how do you know? But these have been 3 separate conversations.
Okay, just the worst people.
This is definitely a
Joker.
This is definitely Professor frustrated at his peak.
It's Friday, guys. It's late. I just want to go home.
Yeah. And TGII.
So
thank God it is.
The Joker. I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore. The Joker is arrested.
Is bad guy.
Harvey is taken away. Rachel is taken away by cops.
Correct.
They're going to get taken off to their places to get tied up.
Joker knew what he was doing. Right. He wanted this all to happen.
And it's, again, one of those classic Nolan bits where the guy's like, Joker wanted to get arrested. And you're like, of course. And then you're like, huh?
Yeah. He's playing fucking 50,000 dimensional chess.
Because he also employed a crazy person that he sewed a phone bomb into his stomach.
Well, I talked about in the last episode how I loved Batman Begins setting up this idea that all the inmates of Arkham Asylum had escaped and they're now going to become these supervillains.
Right.
And then this movie doesn't really do that, but what it does do
they're
is...
They're just kind of the mentally ill people the Joker's drawn into his circle.
It's the guy at the shooting who shoots the honor guard, right?
Yeah.
And this guy with the phone in his belly and his tum-tum.
Yeah,
he could have just made the guy swallow the phone. He didn't have to cut his tummy open.
I don't fucking know. I mean, there's that.
He loves knives. He puts them in a circle.
He does
around
love knives.
No, that's a different Joker, but he does have knives because there is that great line where
that's
he's like,
the Joker's brother.
No ID, no identification, like no marks, just knives and lint.
Yeah.
That's what.
That shot's great when they're lining up all
his weird little knives.
Yeah.
And he says how much he loves knives.
Loves
he
them.
can like get to know a person when you're killing him.
Yeah, all the little nuances, right? That's what he says. Yeah, I know your friends better than you do.
So, and we should, because there is that scene where Dent interrogates the crazy guy, and Batman is like, he's mentally ill. Like, you're not getting anything out of that guy. But so then you have the Batman Joker scene, the interrogation scene.
Good cop, bad cop routine.
That's a good scene.
Not exactly.
It's a good scene.
Yeah, it's a great scene. And Ben was saying before we started recording, it is kind of incredible that scene is like, let's put two ridiculously dressed characters in a very brightly lit fluorescent room.
True.
That does not, the lighting does not play up any of the strengths of those costumes.
No, and Joker's starting to look weird. His makeup is beginning to rub off.
They look even more artificial than ever.
Yeah, Ben, we were saying you can see Batman's like black makeup eyes.
Right. Usually the rest of the movie, like he gets away from that in the way the Burton movies did, where the Burton movies just had to own the level of mascara.
I mean, was like, that's Christian Bale wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Weird.
Right.
It's an adult man.
Do you know what my favorite moment in Batman Returns is?
Yeah.
There's the one shot when he's going to rip his mask off. And right before he does, suddenly all the black eye makeup is missing from around his eyes. Because the movie has to be like, well, we don't want to have him take the mask off.
I remember this. Right.
And it's just the one scene where you're like, why does he look different now?
For like 1 second.
For 1 second before he rips, yeah. It is just funny to think about like badass, like Christian Bale running and then being like, okay, fuck, now let me just get 15 minutes in the mirror.
Okay. We haven't even gotten to Two-Face. So that's the scene.
Michael J. Two-Face.
Where Joker is just saying, like, I am a troll. You don't kill people, so I want you to kill people.
And he's clapping.
Right?
Right. All of that.
And he blows up the guy's tummy and escapes.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick. I love the fashion. His suit, his custom suit is so good.
I mean, Nolan's one of the best suit filmmakers we got right now.
That's very true.
Yeah. If he wasn't a director, he'd be a great tailor.
Maybe he is on the side. You don't know.
Maybe.
Christopher Crowlin. And he set up his new Joker game, which is Harvey's at one end of the city, Rachel's at the other.
You gotta choose.
You gotta save one. And Joker knows he's going to go for Rachel. So he swaps the addresses. So
he
Batman
just wants
ends up with Harvey.
to be frustrated. He wants Batman to be frustrated.
He's a troll.
Yep.
Good troll.
Good troll.
And then Rachel dies so she can join the ranks of Nolan ghosts.
This is a moment I think Maggie G really sells.
Terrific in this scene.
Which
and
is
also very well done by Nolan.
Right.
With the thing where she's like, okay.
Harvey, look, I know that he's going to choose me, and I want you to know I don't want to live without you. Right. And she's like making her noble speech about like, Jack, I'll never let go.
Right.
But then when she hears him yelling, she starts to be like, wait, I thought I was about to be saved. What the fuck's going on here? Like in the last moment before she dies, there's this little bit of selfishness. I thought I was safe.
What you're saying, right? But then I like that he cuts her off mid speech.
Yeah, and her hair blows in front of her face, and everything turns into fire. Now he has been lying down, taking a little nap on a bed of gasoline,
and just like that's how it works. You know how gasoline only burns what the gasoline touches, and then the fire goes away.
It sticks to your face.
Whatever. Two-Face is weird.
Yeah.
Do what you can, man.
Do what you can. Great design in this movie. And I love that the suit is just like the one suit he has, 1.5 of it is just more charred.
Yep.
And not the fucking Tommy Lee Jones like leopard print on one side, pinstripes on the other.
Well, he hasn't had a chance to customize.
I know. That's why fans wanted Two-Face to have his own movie. So that you could have a whole sequence where he goes to the tailor and Christopher Nolan.
Shut up. All right. I have a genuine complaint, though, about Two-Face.
Oh, boy.
Because I agree that he looks good.
Is it that he's a bad guy?
His coin
so evil.
It's not a very good coin.
Yeah. It's a tricky coin. Here's the thing with the coin is it's a trick.
He's got a trick coin. He's a trickster.
He makes his own luck. 'Tis rigged.
Did he say that in the movie?
Dude, the one time when they're like Rachel's like, you can't entrust a situation like that to chance.
I don't.
Like she really it's a mealy mouth line.
Yeah.
Batman does it too. He's like, would you really leave that? I just think Two-Face as animated, it could be like 10% less grosser, and I'd be a little more into it.
Oh, I love how gross it is.
I do too. I'm
like transfixed every time I rewatch it.
It's an
his jawbone on the side of his face.
Yeah, because the two things that are really a lot is the missing cheek,
the eye
with the like tendons, and the eye being just like
lidless,
a whole eye.
Right. Yeah.
It's intense.
Yeah, I like it.
I think he only gets away with it in a PG-13 because there's really not much else in this movie that's like gory.
But it's nasty as shit.
I mean, like, again, I'm saying, like, if I was a kid and I saw this movie, I'd really struggle with that.
Ben's throwing up the devil's horns.
There he is.
Hell yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Because I loved Batman Forever Two-Face, played by Tommy Lee Jones, but he's purple.
Correct.
It's like one half of him is Tommy Lee Jones, Oscar-winning actor. The other half is a purple man.
He's like half like Tommy Lee Jones, half like Jonathan Demme version of a punk kid.
But that's what I fucking love about that guy.
Yeah.
And he's like...
I hate that character's design so much.
It's so bad, and yet I love it. I'm looking at it right now because he's like... Yeah, one side of me is a suit. The other side, like, zebra pattern.
Right. The other side of me is a featured extra in Something Wild.
Like, why is that evil?
It's not.
Anyway.
This was Joker's plan all along, was he wanted to destroy Harvey Dent. He wanted to prove
Harvey Dent is the symbol of, like, Gotham's normalcy.
And nothing good can stay that way for long.
So, Dent...
Either die a hero or...
live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Podcast! Yeah.
And the final crucial scene is the Joker-Dent scene. He's got so many nice one-on-one conversation scenes.
Little push.
Yeah, where he's just goes to Dent and basically sells him on like the Joker philosophy.
Right. He's a dog chasing a tire.
Right. I wouldn't know what to do if I got one.
Yeah. He's really, really good in this. The legend, which is amazing, is they found this abandoned hospital that was going to be demolished.
Right.
So
Nolan was like, let me blow it up.
They worked out a deal to put the Gotham signage on it and blow it up for real. And it's this one tracking shot. They cut into some cutaways, right?
They do.
But it's all, they only had one take because they did it for real. And so Heath Ledger's pushing the button and he's walking away. You know the story though, right?
No, go ahead.
He pushes the button, he's walking away, the series of explosions happen. That was not planned. It actually just didn't activate all at the right time. Heath Ledger stayed in the scene and played the frustration of the button until it happened for real, and then the shot continued.
And then he like toddles away. Right.
Yeah, because Pfister told me like that was the day he brought his dad to set.
Cool.
And he was like, Dad, I want you to see I'm a real DP. Look, we're doing this incredible stunt. And his dad's there, Video Village, like watching with him. And then the explosion doesn't go off, and he's like, "Oh fuck! This was our big money shot, and we can't get a second take, and we're fucked." And then Heath Ledger stayed in it, and was just like, "If I keep on playing the frustration of the thing not going, they'll be able to use it." And then his reaction when the thing finally starts exploding, it's amazing. It's amazing.
And then
but it's like lightning in a bottle. Shit.
You cut to the helicopter shot of like the whole thing going,
right? And they had that going the whole time simultaneously, yeah. But it's like those big sequences, like the truck flip and the explosion. Mm-hmm. They did it for real, and the only place they used CGI was to remove the other cameras.
Right.
Like the truck flip, they have 4 angles of it.
No, of course.
And they CGI the other cameras and the crew.
That doesn't count. Yeah, of course.
No, but that's what's cool about it.
No,
it's like,
I agree. I mean, I think
it's
that's
not the
what Nolan
craziest
gets.
thing you've ever seen in a movie, but there's something so tactile about it that makes it really engaging.
That's why you think about it. Because
and to watch
of course,
the actors engaging with those things in real
it's
time.
Like if I describe to you what happens in The Dark Knight, like they flip a semi, you're like, oh,
I've seen that in a ton of movies.
Right. And if I describe to you like Avengers Age of Ultron or whatever, it's like they lift up a city and drop it, you know.
But it doesn't feel like anything.
It doesn't feel like anything.
It's flubber.
Shrug. It's too bad. Flubber was actually the planned villain for the third movie until Nolan changed his mind.
I know. And Robin Williams was going to play Flubber.
Sad. So what do you think of the Dent, the Dent part? Like the last 25 minutes of the movie.
They pushed this arc along.
Which is like Dent snaps, goes on a killing spree, takes out everyone responsible for the death of Rachel, all the corrupt cops.
It's a fast character change, right?
It is.
They make big moves and they move him fast because the movie's got places to go.
And he's got his gimmick of the coin.
It's almost like you could say he was two-faced.
Yeah. Okay. So can I throw out 15 comedy points? Can I just throw out? There's the thing at the beginning of the movie where
he said, "We have another."
What's the nickname you have for me? Yeah, right. Isn't it weird? Also,
and
that
Gordon's like, "Well, I wouldn't know." About
they keep on calling it MCU.
Huh? Oh, No, do they?
They call
because it's
something
like
MCU.
the major crimes unit. That's
Right.
Gordon's thing, right?
Which is also the Marvel Cinematic
Yes,
Universe. It
true.
feels like calling the shot in advance. Anyway,
Patina.
Anyway, he says like, well, didn't they have another name for me down at like MCU? And he goes, well, I don't know.
I wouldn't know about that. Again, a great Gary Oldman, perfect in this movie, delivers that line perfectly.
And they cut right out of it. Nothing about him seems two-faced until he becomes Two-Face. He seems like a pretty on-the-level guy.
I think the joke about calling him Harvey Two-Face is it's like he's such a sunshiny,
I believe in Harvey Dent.
I believe in Harvey Dent, public campaigner, but then behind the scenes, he doesn't like these cops because he was the IA guy.
Sure.
The idea was that he made his name in the police department as an internal affairs investigator, busting corrupt cops.
Right.
So the cops don't like him.
Bad cops don't like him because he's a good guy.
And then he's got that scene,
And they are bad.
Thank you.
Bad versus good.
Yes.
The original
Duality.
fight.
There's that scene before the Joker scene where Gordon visits him and is like, I'm sorry about you getting half your face melted off. I'm hearing you don't want surgery or painkillers.
He's like, well, apology not accepted.
Right off the bat, let me tell you, I do not accept your apology.
Feeling pretty fucked right now.
And I am a Christian Scientist, so I will not have any.
Right.
What if that was his origin story?
I'm kicking it Jim Henson style. Yeah, it's like, you sure you don't want any painkillers? He's like, no, they put this slight piece of gauze over one side of my face.
There's some gauze on my face so that no bugs fly into it.
They do a good job of the gauze. I also like the first time he turns his face to...
You don't see it.
You cut away immediately. And they don't cut back until he turns away.
But you do see something for like half a second and you're like,
because the movie kept a total lid on Two-Face. Yes. His design in this. And
not only his design, his existence in the movie.
You just knew it was Dent.
Yeah, you just knew Dent was in the movie.
Right. So I remember like the anticipation of like, what's Two-Face going to look like? How is he going to design this? And
fucked up.
Twisted.
Red.
What?
He's red. His face is red.
Oh, it is. You're right.
Red.
He has the half, Thought you were dead. Half. It's a little cute.
That's the great Dan Harmon, Rob Schrab bit, which was after they saw Batman Forever. Rob Schrab in the car ride home just kept on doing an impression of Two-Face where anytime he was asked anything, he'd come up with the answer that was two of something. Uh-huh. How do you like your coffee? With half and half. What do you want for dinner? Surf and turf.
They're funnier than us.
Yeah, they're the best. They're the original two friends.
And then I don't love, the only thing I really don't like in The Dark Knight is the last scene, is the showdown.
Look, I think
this... Oh, but there's also the fucking fairies.
Oh, right.
There's so much shit in this movie.
There's a lot of shit. I mean, look, I think this movie, it does a lot of pushing.
All right, we're doing okay. Yeah.
We're fine. It does a lot of pushing. It pushes things at an accelerated speed.
It does.
It pushes characters a little beyond logic because it is mostly a movie about ideas. It's sort of him breaking down the entire idea of the relationship between crime and protection.
And there's two climaxes that are sort of about the same thing, but on one scale it's very big and one scale it's very personal. Like the fairies is like Joker's whole philosophy of like these people will tear each other apart if you just give them the least push.
And I would argue...
And they don't.
I would argue that Nolan is not, despite the fact that he does it a lot, the best at building... simultaneous action through cross-cutting.
He does love to do it.
Inception's the one that works best because that's the design of the entire movie.
Inception works great, in my opinion.
Right, but I feel like in some of this, you're just sort of like, and it happens too in Batman Begins, where it's like, you're cutting back to Gordon in the tank, and it's like, well, this isn't as exciting as the Ra's al Ghul stuff.
Indeed.
Like, he wants to pull off some Empire Strikes Back.
Although you do have Gary Oldman going like, yes! Right. I gotta get me one of these!
Right. But that's my buddy Rachel Dawes' big, like, complaint about Nolan's Batman movies is he keeps on trying to pull off that like Empire Strikes Back thing where he's got three simultaneous planes of action and they build upon each other.
Well, that's what Dunkirk's like too.
We haven't seen it yet, but it takes place in several different temporalities.
3, my friend.
Yes.
Not 1, not 2, not 4. 3 temporalities.
Hashtag the 3 temporalities.
2 friends.
2.
3 temporalities.
Yeah.
I like the fairies thing, and I don't really like the Dent
It's a moral
thing.
quandary.
The idea is the fairy thing, it doesn't work, but with Dent, the Joker's thing has worked. He has ruined this man.
And therein lies the ethical dilemma. Because the public perception of Dent falling, the damage...
He died nobly. it should be that he died nobly.
This is a movie about branding. They understand it will be bad for the Gotham City brand.
Bad branding.
If Dent ends up being a bad guy.
So instead, Batman's the bad guy. Because he seems like a bad guy. He's
also,
that crazy person who dresses up like a bat.
He's also like Madonna. Like, he needs to reinvent. He's been doing this Batman good guy kick for a couple of years, and he needs a new kind of like brand revival. It's a reboot.
And then it's really important that Alfred burns the letter. And then everyone thinks it's a right-wing movie because Batman designs a global surveillance system like almost by accident.
Oh, right. We forgot all this. There's too much going on in this movie. But he destroys it.
He does destroy it.
This movie.
I just remember there were a lot of takes like Batman right-wing.
Yeah, but the movie ends up like he keeps on flirting with right-wing tendencies, and he always stops himself just short of it.
Sure.
Like, I think the movie is trying to dismantle the types of thinking, the paranoia that will lead to arch, insane, conservative. Yes. Right.
What do you want to say, Ben? I agree with you, Griffin.
Well, because it reminded me of an Insomnia where it's the whole thing of like, if I get caught being corrupt, then all the criminals are going to get released.
Yeah.
Does that ever happen though?
Yeah.
I don't really like.
Yeah.
If you're a DA and
they have to retry. We've covered a weird amount of movies that have that as a plot point.
What's the other one?
The Judge.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. Also Speed Racer.
I feel like it sort of functions in a way where it's like, this is commonplace. I don't think it's that commonplace. That's why it's like,
no, but it happens.
Do
much if a cop is, corrupt, then you can, say like, hey, this evidence is fruit of the poisonous tree. And then like, you can maybe get to work on getting your guy out or whatever.
That happened with The Staircase. Have you guys seen The Staircase?
Yes. But let's not talk about it because, oh my God.
It's great.
Yeah, it is. It is great. Is there anything else though? Apart from the box office game and all the stuff.
I mean, yeah, the final moment, which had everyone like roaring for a sequel, but it kind of, you also can tell that he was like, this is kind of the point I want to make.
Kind of had his idea. But he does have the Joker say like, we're going to do this forever.
Right. Which I remember when that happens in the theater, everyone in the audience goes like, oh, fuck. Like,
really?
Oh, yeah. I just remember the audience like just kind of like dropping when that happens, just because it's like, well, that's never going to happen. That final moment with him hanging upside down.
For sure. No, it's a really sad moment. You're right. Yeah, of course.
And you're like, and that's the last thing we get from Heath Ledger.
Him upside down. It's so good.
Yeah. He's a good actor.
Yep. He was. He was a great actor. No bit there.
No.
Bummer.
Yeah. I remember I was like very, very hardcore into Ledger should beat Hoffman that year for Best Actor, 2005.
He should have.
And Philip Seymour Hoffman's like my favorite actor ever, pretty much. I mean, it's Keaton and Hoffman are my two guys.
Uh-huh. Who are your guys?
Keaton, Hoffman.
Great.
But I just thought Ledger and Brokeback's like next level shit. And within the Hoffman catalog, in which I like pretty much all of his performances, Capote is the showiest, but one of the less interesting ones for me.
Right.
And I was still smarting from the fact that he had lost that Oscar. And then of course the second this comes out, it kind of felt inevitable of like, this is this guy who we kind of realized too late after writing him off as this like failed teen star was actually kind of one of the most interesting actors we had. Yeah. And now he gave this iconic, indelible performance in this movie that like broke the culture. He's going to win the Oscar. And it was just this inevitable thing. Like,
he won the Oscar.
It comes out in July. And for the rest of the year, anyone else who came out and had a good supporting performance, it was like, well, what does it matter? Heath Ledger's going to win. There's zero chance they don't give it to Heath Ledger.
Which he did.
He did. He won.
But my argument, I really do think he would have won even if he hadn't.
I agree. I always thought that argument was dumb, that people said he's only winning.
It was such a, But of course, it's a hypothetical.
It's hypothetical, but I think,
The Dark Knight was released to critical acclaim.
He's a silent guardian in our Dark Knight. He rides away. He takes the blame. He takes the fall. He's going to be the bad guy. Alfred burns the letter. Gordon smashes the thing. In lesser hands,
blows up the
computer.
Yeah.
Sometimes you reward someone's faith. And in lesser hands, it would feel like too much of a sequel toss-up. And it does make you excited about what you imagine the next chapter could be. But it quickly became very clear that Nolan was more interested in the idea of ending a movie on such a broken place than actually trying to make the next movie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he might have had an idea for a movie if Ledger was around.
I think so, too.
I just know that he didn't really have an idea for a movie once he wasn't.
And we'll talk about that in 2 weeks.
We will.
Box office game.
No rush. I know. There's something else I want to say.
What do you want to talk about?
This movie came out, it got great reviews.
Yeah.
There were some people who gave it bad reviews, as happens when you have more than one film critic in the universe.
This is another thing this movie kind of
Everyone
created.
lost their fucking minds at these people. I mean, not everyone, but like a committed group of internet assholes.
This was like the start of people becoming possessive and territorial about the movies they
How dare you fuck with the Dark Knight's Rotten Tomatoes rating or whatever, you know?
I mean, this is the whole thing I find so interesting about the Lego Batman movie. I'm not going to go into a whole spiel, but I think Lego Batman movie is a movie about bad fan culture because Batman has weirdly been this litmus test for.
I mean, or at least like the Lego Batman is kind of a take on that too, right? On like the idea of like your perfect Batman, right?
Well, and Lego Batman as a character is like a guy who misinterprets Batman.
Sure. Darkness.
Right.
No parents.
And doesn't want to show vulnerability, wants everyone to understand how serious and badass he is.
Yeah, but why does that have to be the number one movie of the year for you?
Because it's the best film of the year.
I see. Interesting point.
No, but it's a movie designed for me. Let's be honest. It's a movie starring toys about Batman deconstructing.
Why am I even having this
pop culture conversations?
Oh boy.
But that was the start of that. Batman's always been this weird kind of like everyone likes Batman, but people like Batman for different reasons. And a lot of
it's just that reaction that you see in 2008.
Yeah.
Like by the time that it's happening with Batman versus Superman, it's like turned into something even more disgusting. But it was annoying and gross, and Nolan bros as well. You know, it kind of spawns that whole movement of these people who hound critics just about like criticizing Christopher Nolan.
Right. And it falls into this weird category of like, you know, in this age of like extreme anti-intellectualism, how did this icy British man who like makes these movies devoid of emotion.
Yeah, who's not like a big personality.
Right. Like deconstructing human behavior become like the champion of all bros in the same way that like the Wachowskis made these films that like spawned like the Red Pill movement and Anonymous.
For sure.
You know, it's this odd situation. This movie does change a lot of stuff. And the other big thing it changes is everyone thinks this is going to be the one that breaks the glass ceiling and becomes the superhero blockbuster.
It gets the Best Picture nomination.
To get the Best Picture nomination.
And it doesn't.
And
Right, we do have to talk about that.
It's getting WGA.
DGA, all that shit.
All that shit. And then Oscar morning comes up and it gets the Ledger nomination, obviously.
It gets a original adapted screenplay?
Does it? I remember it being snubbed.
Snubs and flubs?
I think it was snubbed and flubbed. Gets a lot of technicals. I mean, it ends up getting like 8 nominations, but it doesn't get the majors. In my memory, it got 7
nominations and it won 2. Sound editing and Ledger.
Right.
But let's see. I'm looking.
But that was the last year. It was 5 nominees. And that year.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so it was right. Sound editing, cinematography, Pfister. You're a man, Pfister. Editing, art direction, makeup, sound mixing, visual effects. But yeah, no majors.
Right.
Apart from
Ledger
actor.
Was the one. And it got that. And that was sort of like an easy, lob up.
Of course.
But that year,
but it also didn't get any Golden Globe nominations. Like there was some, apart from Ledger.
Golden Globes are always weird, though.
Yeah, but they can be predictable.
Sure. But that was the year. I mean, there was Gran Torino, WALL-E, and Dark Knight. Dark Knight principal among them were these 3 very big populist movies that got big reviews, and people thought they were all.
And Frost Nixon got a Best Picture nomination.
Right. And it was this disconnect thing of like people want to see their movies reflected. It became this fans versus critics.
The ratings were down too. So what did they do, Ben?
10 nominees.
10 Best Picture nominees because of this movie.
Oh.
There was another one. There's a 4th movie that was a big hit that came out that year that I can't remember that would have gotten nominated if there had been 10 films. Anyway, breaks the Oscars, breaks everything. Box office game, it breaks records.
Do you remember the opening number?
156.
158.4.
I was going to guess 7. I thought it was too high.
What a crazy opening weekend.
Pirates had previously been number 1, I think at 134, something like that. That had dethroned Spider-Man, which was 114.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a big jump up, especially because the first movie had made 200 in total. So for a movie to make 3/4 of that.
No, I know. It makes
weekend, first
533 domestic.
And there was a real arms race of like, is it going to catch up to Titanic? People were seeing it multiple times. It was a movie that people were seeing multiple times in theater. If you hadn't seen it in IMAX the first time, you had to go back a second time.
Its worldwide number is bad because it did not do any business in China.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the beginning of studios realizing like you can never do this again. You need, for your movie that you want to conquer the box office like rankings all time, you need to have a big strategy in China.
But even Dark Knight Rises did much better. This was the last major American blockbuster that wasn't a huge worldwide blockbuster.
That's what I'm saying. But it did still make $1 billion worldwide. Number 1, The Dark Knight, 158. Number 2 is a new movie, opened as counter-programming to The Dark Knight. It was one of the biggest hits of the year. It remains one of the top 10 highest-grossing films in Britain of all time.
Mamma Mia?
Correct.
It was number 1 forever.
In Britain?
In Britain, it was the number 1 film for 7 years. Period. Full stop.
Yeah, I bet
I think it was dethroned by Skyfall.
I think Skyfall's number 1. I can't remember. Star Wars might be number 1 even. I don't know. Yeah. But Mamma Mia opened to 27 mil.
We got a sequel coming up. Here we go again.
That's right. Great title. Made 144 domestic. That's a crazy multiplier.
And worldwide?
Good question. $609 million.
Yeah. Crazy.
So it made 76% of its money outside of America.
Nuts.
Number 3 is a superhero movie. In its 3rd week of release, it has made $191 million.
Hancock?
Correct. Thought I was going to get you.
No.
With superhero movie.
No.
Because it's like a twisted superhero.
No, because I was remembering, I think, well, let me see. I don't want to call this shot too quickly.
Number 4 is a great film that I love. It's wonderful. Stars a wonderful man who's a special friend of mine. It's made $43 million in 2 weeks, on its way to $100 million. It was a surprise summer sleeper hit.
100, right on the nugget. He's a good friend of yours.
It took advantage of a new medium that would later become a huge box office boost next year.
3D.
Correct. And it contained a line in its trailer that is so good.
Is it Journey to the Center of the Earth 3D?
We're still falling!
I forgot that Brendan Fraser is a good friend of yours.
I love him. Number 5.
That was when Brendan Fraser had the signal boost because he had been off the map, and then he had Mummy and Journey to the Center of the Earth.
The same year.
200 million grossers, and they went Fraser's back, and then he immediately makes Furry Vengeance.
Yes, who wants a Wii? Number 5 had been number 1 the week before, and completely the bottom fell out of it.
Hellboy 2: The Golden Army.
70% drop.
One of the worst scheduling decisions of all time. It opens really big improvement on the first movie.
Great movie.
Slaughtered by Dark Knight, never recovers.
Never recovers. Great movie. Love that movie.
I need to rewatch it. I didn't like it when I saw it when it came out.
Oh, are you an idiot?
It has been argued.
All right. Other movies. WALL-E.
My good friend, WALL-E.
Nice guy.
WALL-E the robot.
New movie that week, Space Chimps.
Oh, yes.
Animated film, I believe.
Yeah, I believe Andy Samberg plays a character named Ham.
Great. You got one of those.
Ham the Chimp.
Ham the Chimp. You got one of those surprise hits of 2008, Wanted.
Yeah, a very surprising hit.
Yeah, weird little movie.
Weird movie.
Morgan
the movie
Freeman's
in which
they
weave tapestries that tell them who to murder with bended bullets.
You got it in one.
Those bended bullets.
You've also got Get Smart, which everyone forgets was a huge hit.
Yep, and is really bad.
Oh, such a stinker.
They were threatening to make a sequel for a while after that because they were like, but it did well.
But kind of one of those early The Rock is funny movies.
Yeah, you want to hear something really funny about that movie? So Entertainment Weekly's big summer preview, Rock was the cover guy.
How much time
This is short.
This
is short. For Get Smart. And the big deal in that profile was he had slimmed down. He had lost 60 pounds of muscle.
Right,
and he was like, I realized I don't need to be huge anymore. I think it was holding me back a little as a movie star. I want to be a little more relatable. And he does 2 movies where he slimmed down and then decides to be the biggest man in history.
He's like, no, I'm a giant.
Never mind. And then he breaks through.
Yeah, because Fast 5.
Yeah.
And then Kung Fu Panda, Meet Dave.
Yeah, originally called Starship Dave, a much better title.
Indiana Jones, Kit Kittredge and American Girl. Sex and the City's hanging out there. Went on a date to see that movie.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
With whom? Sarah Jessica Parker?
That's correct, yes.
Kim Cattrall?
But yeah, both of them.
Next one?
The Incredible Hulk and Iron Man are both in the top 20.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I'm done. Done.
I mean, I'm not going to do a full merchandise spotlight, but I just want to say.
What?
These 3 Nolan Batman movies are pointedly not very toyetic.
No.
They got some cool vehicles.
The Tumbler's cool.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The vehicles are cool. Right. But so the toy company's it's Batman. He's the biggest selling character in the history of boys' toys. They had
Never say boys' toys again.
Boys' toys. They had to develop full lines. If you just want to do a Google search, of like the main mass market Dark Knight toys, they just come up with these ridiculous like body luge Batman, and it's like Christian Bale Batman painted purple, and his arms and legs have wheels on them, so his whole body can be a luge. It's just very funny to imagine those toy designs ending up in the plot of a Nolan film.
Can't see these, but it's great.
Great. Do a Google search. I'll add it to the Reddit or something. I don't know.
Put it in the Reddit.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Do you want to say goodbye to our nice fans and all of our friends?
Hey, look.
After doing this great episode about The Dark Knight?
Yeah. I mean, look, this
Griffin's
episode's
real tired, guys.
I'm so tired. No one should ever make a TV show.
Yep.
That having been said, August 25th, watch The Tick on Prime Video.
For sure.
It's going to be great. I'll probably be oversaturated by the point this episode comes out. I'll be on too many Subway posters.
That'll be great. I can't wait to see
That's going to be the weird thing for me.
It's going to be great. I already got the invite to Press Day to interview you.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Are you doing it?
No.
Yeah, right?
Fuck you. I don't want to talk to you.
Can
talk to you enough.
Can I go in David's place?
Please.
And we'll
like
do
in
a
Notting
bit,
Hill, he'll
maybe?
like pretend he's me.
I was talking to Sonia,
Sure.
past and future guest, Sonia Soraya, about how she's had to like recluse herself from all Tick press events.
I'm not writing about no Tick.
God, I fucked myself up by being friends with all the entertainment writers in New York City.
I think you made this joke before, but it's true. But hey, Shirley Lee interviewed you. My good friend Shirley Lee, who is not your friend yet.
I had only met her once in a professional capacity before she interviewed me, and then she was at your birthday. She's
absolutely
great.
incredible.
She dubbed me Breaking Big.
Yes.
And Entertainment Weekly's It List.
Shirley lives to make jokes that make me just collapse in fury, like at how bad they are.
So that sounds like my ideal guest.
That's what I'm saying. She needs to be on the podcast. Like,
we'll team up.
Yeah, because our thing in Slack used to be she would put the emoji for leaves every time she made a bad joke, because the idea would be she'd be like she's leaving.
I mean, I love this.
She
sounds like a regular Richard T. Joker.
Love Shirley.
Well, thank you for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. Big thanks to Anne Fergudo for running our social media account. Pat Reynolds and Joe Bowen for doing our artwork. Lane Montgomery for our theme song. Please check out reddit.blankies.com. I never remember if the Blankies comes first, the Reddit comes first, but it's one of the two. Whatever. I don't know. Figure it out.
I think it's the Blankies comes first.
Some real nerdy shit there. Blankies. I'll post some pictures of my favorite weird sort of aesthetically clashing Nolan Batman toys. Why was that sentence so difficult for me to get out?
I don't know. But as always.
And as always, playing it very close to the chest.
Brown.
Blue. Ready?
Yeah, I've been ready my whole life.
My cocaine. You crossed the line first, sir. God damn it. I did. Okay.
Michael. Hi.
My cocaine. My cocaine.
What the fuck?
My cocaine.
What was that?
My cocaine.
That was not good.
That was an outrage.
I can't put that at the end of the episode.
You can't. You can't.
That not good.
Okay, I'm gonna do a good Joker quote.
Oh my God. All right.
That you could put in the end of the episode.
Fine.
You could do it.